The pyramids of Giza have stood for thousands of years, their massive stones silently watching over the Egyptian desert. These iconic structures, considered one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world, have long intrigued historians, archaeologists, and the public alike. The grand scale of the Great Pyramid, its sharp angles piercing the sky, its sheer enormity impossible to fully comprehend in a single glance, continues to stir a sense of awe and mystery. But what if we told you that these pyramids, towering monuments of stone, were never meant to simply serve as tombs for dead kings? What if, hidden within their very structure, there was a secret waiting to be unlocked, something far greater than we could have imagined? For centuries, we have been told that the pyramids were built to house the pharaohs, to protect them in their journey to the afterlife. The traditional narrative has often been one of royal tombs, designed to glorify the kings of Egypt and honor their legacies. But increasingly, a growing number of theories suggest that the pyramids served a far more complex and mysterious purpose. Could they have been more than just monumental graves? Could they have been designed to serve as a key, one that might unlock an ancient wisdom, a code hidden in plain sight, whose significance is only now becoming apparent? What if these pyramids were, in fact, encoded with a knowledge far beyond the understanding of their time? A knowledge not just of construction and engineering, but of mathematics, astronomy, and perhaps even the very forces that govern the universe? This is not merely the speculation of fringe theorists or the realm of New Age mysticism, but the subject of serious investigation by modern scientists, archaeologists, and mathematicians. There is evidence to suggest that the ancient Egyptians had a far deeper understanding of the world than we have previously given them credit for, and that their grandest achievements, like the pyramids themselves, were not just feats of engineering, but intentional gateways to something much bigger, something that we are only beginning to understand. From the very beginning, the construction of the pyramids was shrouded in mystery. The sheer scale of the project is enough to raise questions. How could a civilization with the limited tools and resources of ancient Egypt have built such an enormous structure with such precision? It's a question that has perplexed experts for generations. The Great Pyramid, which stands at over 450 feet tall, was constructed from millions of limestone blocks, each weighing several tons. The logistics of quarrying, transporting, and placing these stones remain unclear. The methods that ancient Egyptians may have used to construct the pyramids have been the subject of debate for centuries, with countless theories proposed, from ramps and levers to more speculative suggestions involving advanced technology. But the mystery runs deeper than just the physical construction. The alignment of the pyramids with the stars, particularly with the constellation of Orion, has raised eyebrows for centuries. How could a civilization so ancient, without the advanced telescopes or equipment we have today, have aligned their structures so precisely with the stars? The Great Pyramid is aligned so precisely to true north that its error margin is less than 1/15 of a degree. This kind of precision is almost unfathomable, especially when you consider that the Egyptians had no access to modern surveying tools. For centuries, historians and astronomers have wondered, did the Egyptians possess knowledge of the stars and the cosmos far beyond what we have been led to believe? And, if so, how did they acquire this knowledge? Some believe the alignment of the pyramids was more than just an astronomical curiosity. The Egyptians were deeply religious, and their understanding of the cosmos was intricately tied to their spiritual beliefs. For the ancient Egyptians, the stars were not just distant points of light, but symbols of divine power, the realm of the gods. In particular, the stars of the constellation Orion were associated with Osiris, the god of the afterlife. This connection between the pyramids and the stars could mean that the pyramids were never intended merely as tombs, but as portals, structures designed to channel spiritual energy or guide the souls of the dead to the afterlife. The placement of the pyramids on the Giza Plateau, their alignment with the stars, and their orientation to the cardinal points all suggest a deliberate and highly sophisticated understanding of cosmic forces. The Great Pyramid, the largest and most iconic of the structures, has always been the focal point of these speculations. But what if there is more to the pyramid's design than meets the eye? The shape of the pyramid itself, its angular, precise form, might hold clues. Could the geometry of the pyramid have been intended to represent a hidden code? A mathematical key, embedded in the very structure of the pyramid, waiting for someone to decode it? The idea of sacred geometry, the belief that certain geometric shapes and proportions have a deeper, universal significance, is something that many have speculated about. The Egyptians were known to have employed mathematical concepts in their architecture and engineering, but it's possible that they encoded a deeper, more profound system into their structures, something that, if decoded, could unlock the mysteries of the cosmos itself. As we dig deeper into the history of the pyramids, it becomes clear that there is much more to the story than we have been led to believe. The question that arises is no longer simply how the pyramids were built, but why. What was the true purpose behind these awe-inspiring structures? Were they just tombs for dead kings, as we have been taught? Or were they something far more powerful, designed to hold the key to an ancient and mysterious knowledge? Perhaps the pyramids themselves are not just ancient relics of a lost civilization, but a message that has been hidden in plain sight for millennia, waiting for the right moment in history to be uncovered. This is the question that continues to drive researchers, archaeologists, and enthusiasts alike. For if there is a code hidden within the pyramids, then what does it say about the knowledge of the ancient Egyptians? And what could that knowledge mean for us today? Could the key to understanding the pyramids be just the beginning of a larger revelation, one that will reshape everything we know about the ancient world, and even our place in the universe? The hunt for the truth behind the pyramids is far from over, and with each new discovery, we move one step closer to uncovering a secret that may change the course of history forever. The ancient Egyptians were not only master architects, but they were also gifted astronomers, mathematicians, and engineers. To understand the true genius behind the construction of the pyramids, we must first look at the civilization that created them. A civilization that understood the stars, the land, and the natural forces of the universe in ways that continue to astonish us today. The pyramids themselves are a testament to the level of advancement achieved by the ancient Egyptians, not just in terms of architecture, but in their understanding of geometry, astronomy, and even energy. The grandeur of the Great Pyramid of Giza and its companions at the Giza Plateau are physical manifestations of an ancient wisdom, one that had been passed down through generations and encoded in every stone of these monumental structures. The Egyptians' understanding of the cosmos was deeply intertwined with their religious beliefs. For them, the heavens were not a distant, impersonal expanse, but a divine realm that influenced the lives of the living. The stars were gods, and the movement of these celestial bodies had profound meaning in the lives of every Egyptian. The most significant of these was the star Sirius, associated with the goddess Isis, which signaled the flooding of the Nile, an event that was critical to Egyptian agriculture. The alignment of the pyramids with the stars, and in particular with the constellation Orion, was not accidental. It was a deliberate act of linking the earthly realm to the divine. The Egyptians saw the stars not just as points of light, but as spiritual entities that guided their very lives and deaths. In this context, the pyramids were more than just tombs. They were symbols of the eternal connection between Earth and the cosmos, designed to carry the soul of the pharaoh to the stars. The layout of the Giza Plateau with its pyramids and the Great Sphinx was intentionally arranged to reflect the celestial alignment of Orion's belt, the ancient Egyptian symbol for Osiris, the god of the afterlife. This deliberate alignment shows that the Egyptians believed their kings and queens were divine beings, destined to join the gods in the afterlife, a journey marked by their physical connection to the stars themselves. But the Egyptian understanding of the cosmos did not stop at the stars above. It extended deep into the natural world, where the alignment of the pyramids with the cardinal directions revealed an extraordinary grasp of geography and astronomy. The Great Pyramid is aligned with true north so precisely that it is within a fraction of a degree, a feat that modern architects and engineers would find challenging even with the most advanced technology. How could the Egyptians, with their rudimentary tools, achieve such a feat? This precision suggests an understanding of the Earth's magnetic fields and the nature of the planet itself that was far beyond their time. As we move deeper into the study of ancient Egypt, we find that their knowledge was far more sophisticated than we could have ever imagined. The Egyptians possessed an understanding of geometry that is still revered today. The very proportions of the Great Pyramid seem to encode universal constants. The golden ratio, pi, and other mathematical principles that form the foundation of the natural world. The angle of the pyramid's sides, its base, and even its height are all designed according to mathematical principles that reveal a hidden order in the universe. It is as if the pyramid itself is a giant mathematical equation, a code embedded in stone. But why? What were the ancient Egyptians trying to tell us with these measurements? What knowledge did they encode into the very structure of the pyramid? Could the pyramids themselves be giant cosmic calculators? Some theorists suggest that the ancient Egyptians used the pyramids as a tool to measure and harness energy from the earth and the heavens. There is evidence to suggest that the pyramids were not just built for aesthetic or religious reasons, but that they were designed to capture and amplify the natural energies of the earth. Energies that the Egyptians may have understood and used in ways we are only beginning to comprehend. This idea has led some to propose that the pyramids were used as power generators, focusing energy from the Earth's electromagnetic field and channeling it for various purposes, from healing to communication with the gods. If this is true, it would mean that the pyramids were not only a marvel of construction, but a sophisticated tool for tapping into the natural forces of the planet. However, these theories are still far from being proven. The ancient Egyptian texts that could explain their true purpose have been lost to history, and much of their knowledge remains a mystery. The great libraries of Alexandria, which once held vast amounts of ancient wisdom, were destroyed by fire, and with them, much of what could have explained the true purpose of the pyramids was lost. What remains is a collection of hieroglyphs, symbols, and fragmented texts, some of which hint at a greater understanding of the cosmos and the forces that shape our world. The problem, however, is that much of this knowledge has been misinterpreted or obscured by centuries of misunderstandings and myths. One of the most enduring mysteries is the method by which the pyramids were constructed. The sheer scale of the pyramids is overwhelming. How could a civilization without modern technology build such monumental structures? It's easy to assume that the Egyptians used slaves to build the pyramids, but evidence suggests that the workers were skilled laborers, not slaves, and that the construction of the pyramids was a monumental national project. The logistics of transporting millions of tons of limestone, granite, and other materials across the desert is still not fully understood. The conventional explanation involves the use of massive ramps, but even this theory is debated by modern archaeologists. Some believe that the construction of the pyramids may have involved advanced techniques that we have yet to rediscover. Could the Egyptians have known a method of construction that has been lost to time? Could they have had access to a form of technology that was far more advanced than we think? Despite the many unanswered questions, what is clear is that the ancient Egyptians were a people of incredible intellect and vision. They understood the world in ways that we are only now beginning to understand. Their knowledge of the stars, of the Earth's magnetic fields, of geometry and mathematics, and perhaps even energy, was far beyond what we have given them credit for. The pyramids are not just relics of the past. They are messages encoded in stone that we are still trying to decode. The more we learn about the Egyptians and their achievements, the more we realize that they were not just a civilization of great builders, but a civilization of great thinkers, whose understanding of the world may have been as advanced, if not more so, than our own. It is this deep well of knowledge, hidden in plain sight, that continues to captivate our imagination and fuel the search for answers. Every stone of the pyramid is a potential key to unlocking the mysteries of the ancient world. The pyramids, standing in the heart of Egypt, are a challenge to us all. To look beyond the surface, to dig deeper into the earth, and to search for the ancient wisdom that may be buried within them. The more we uncover, the more questions arise, and the deeper we delve into this ancient mystery, the more we realize that we are only beginning to scratch the surface. What will we discover next? And what will it mean for our understanding of the past and of our place in the universe? The question of who actually built the pyramids has been a subject of debate for centuries. For many, the commonly accepted narrative has been that the pyramids were constructed by slaves under the rule of powerful pharaohs. This image is so ingrained in popular culture that it's almost impossible to imagine a different version of events. Yet, this traditional view is being increasingly challenged by historians, archaeologists, and modern scholars who suggest that the true story may be far more complex and far more intriguing than we've been led to believe. The notion that slaves built the pyramids originates in part from the ancient Greek historian Herodotus, who, writing about 2,000 years after the pyramids were constructed, claimed that they were built by an army of slaves. This idea persisted for centuries, bolstered by the image of the Egyptians as a people who could only accomplish such monumental feats through the forced labor of millions. But evidence uncovered in more recent times has begun to paint a vastly different picture. Archaeologists working at the Giza Plateau have uncovered a wealth of new information, shedding light on the lives of the people who actually built the pyramids. Far from being faceless, nameless slaves, many of the workers who labored to construct these immense structures were skilled laborers and artisans, highly trained individuals who were part of a specialized workforce, tasked with building the most remarkable structures of the ancient world. Excavations have revealed workers' tombs and villages that suggest these laborers were treated with a degree of respect not often afforded to slaves. Many of these workers were housed in nearby workers' villages, where they were provided with food, shelter, and tools, and likely lived better than many of the lower classes in ancient Egypt. This new perspective on the pyramid builders suggests a more organized, state-sponsored effort. The pyramid construction project would have been a monumental endeavor, one that required the efforts of thousands of workers, but not in the way we've been taught. Rather than slaves toiling in misery, we see a highly coordinated workforce of skilled laborers, who would have been well-fed, well-housed, and paid for their efforts. These workers were, in essence, craftsmen artisans who understood the principles of stone cutting, engineering, and construction. They were brought together not through force, but through a shared vision, a vision to create something that would stand the test of time. The idea that the pyramid builders were skilled workers is supported by a series of discoveries that have been made in recent years. Excavations of workers' cemeteries at Giza have uncovered a variety of grave goods, including tools, pottery, and even inscriptions bearing the names of the workers. These discoveries indicate that the workers were not anonymous slaves, but rather individuals who were honored for their work. In fact, many of these workers were buried with great care, in tombs that reflect the high esteem in which they were held. Some were even buried near the pyramids themselves, a sign of their importance in the overall project. This discovery challenges the traditional image of the pyramid builders as nameless, faceless laborers, and instead paints a picture of a well-organized society in which skilled craftsmen were key players in the creation of these ancient wonders. This shift in perspective is not just an academic exercise. It has profound implications for how we understand ancient Egyptian society. It suggests that the Egyptians were not simply a society built on brute force, but rather one that was highly organized, with a deep respect for the craftsmen and artisans who created their monumental structures. This new understanding paints a picture of a culture that valued skill and knowledge, one where specialized labor was a cornerstone of society. The idea of skilled workers coming together to build something greater than themselves, something that would last for millennia, adds a layer of emotional depth to the story of the pyramids. It is no longer just the tale of a pharaoh's tomb, but a collective effort that involved generations of craftsmen, laborers, and even priests, all working together toward a common goal. But who were these workers, and how did they come to be involved in such a monumental project? The answer, perhaps surprisingly, is that many of them may not have been Egyptians at all. Some archaeologists suggest that the workers who built the pyramids came from various regions of Egypt and beyond, drawn to Giza by the promise of steady work and the prestige of being involved in such a high-profile project. This would not have been unusual for the time, as Egypt was a hub of trade and interaction with surrounding regions. Workers may have come from Nubia, Libya, and even the Levant, bringing with them different skills and techniques that were incorporated into the construction of the pyramids. While the workers were likely paid for their labor, their involvement in the pyramid building process would also have had a deeply spiritual and cultural significance. In ancient Egypt, the construction of the pyramids was not just a physical task. It was a religious act, a process that linked the earthly realm with the divine. The workers who built the pyramids were, in a sense, participating in a grand cosmic ritual. They were contributing to the construction of a structure that would serve as a bridge between the earthly and spiritual worlds, ensuring that the pharaoh's soul would have a safe passage to the afterlife. For these workers, the act of building the pyramid was more than just a job. It was a sacred responsibility, one that would have been imbued with a sense of purpose and destiny. This spiritual connection to the work may have been one of the reasons why so many skilled workers were willing to dedicate their lives to the construction of the pyramids. In a society that placed immense value on the afterlife, being chosen to work on such a significant project would have been seen as a great honor. These workers were not just laborers. They were artisans entrusted with the task of building a structure that would endure for eternity. It's possible that many of them saw their work as a form of spiritual service, an offering to the gods that would benefit not only the pharaoh, but the entire nation of Egypt. The discovery of workers' villages at Giza adds another layer of complexity to the story of the pyramid builders. These villages were not just temporary camps. They were organized communities where workers lived for extended periods of time, working on the pyramids and then returning to their homes. The workers were housed in well-planned, permanent settlements, complete with communal areas, kitchens, and even workshops. This suggests that the pyramid building process was not a short-term project, but rather a long-term, sustained effort that involved the cooperation of entire communities. The evidence from these workers' villages suggests that the people who built the pyramids were not only highly skilled, but also part of a broader, tightly knit community. They were bound by a shared sense of purpose and belonging, a shared belief in the sacred nature of the work they were doing. This community-centered approach to pyramid construction gives us a new perspective on the process, not as a harsh, backbreaking labor, but as a collective effort that involved cooperation, respect, and a deep sense of spiritual devotion. As we consider these new discoveries, it becomes increasingly clear that the pyramids were not just the product of a single ruler's will, but the culmination of an entire civilization's collective efforts. The workers who built these monuments were not mere slaves. They were skilled craftsmen and artisans who understood the importance of their work. They were not forced to build the pyramids. They chose to be a part of something greater than themselves, something that would stand the test of time. Their work, their labor, and their devotion to the project are what have allowed the pyramids to endure through the ages, continuing to fascinate and inspire people from all over the world. And in this sense, the pyramids are not just a testament to the might of the pharaohs, but to the dedication and ingenuity of the people who built them. The alignment of the pyramids with the stars has long been one of the most fascinating and mysterious aspects of their design. To the casual observer, the pyramids are awe-inspiring monuments of stone, a testament to the grandeur of ancient Egypt. But to the ancient Egyptians themselves, the pyramids held a deeper meaning, one that was intricately tied to the heavens. The alignment of these colossal structures with celestial bodies was not mere coincidence. It was a deliberate act, guided by a profound understanding of the cosmos. The Egyptians did not see the stars as distant, impersonal lights in the sky. For them, the stars were sacred, the realm of the gods, and the movement of the heavens had great significance in their lives. The pyramids, it seems, were more than just tombs. They were gateways to the divine, designed to facilitate the soul's journey into the afterlife. The most striking example of this celestial alignment is the Great Pyramid of Giza, which is closely aligned with the stars of Orion's belt. The constellation of Orion held immense importance in ancient Egyptian religion, as it was associated with Osiris, the god of the afterlife. Osiris was the ruler of the underworld, and his stars in Orion were seen as the embodiment of life, death, and rebirth. For the Egyptians, the afterlife was not simply a continuation of life, but a journey through a spiritual realm that was guided by the stars. The alignment of the pyramids with Orion was not just a coincidence. It was an intentional act to align the earthly realm with the divine. By placing the pyramids in such a precise relationship with the stars of Orion, the ancient Egyptians were ensuring that the soul of the pharaoh, upon death, would ascend to the heavens and join the gods in the afterlife. The alignment with Orion is not limited to just the Great Pyramid. The entire Giza Plateau, with its 3 pyramids, is aligned in such a way that the positions of the pyramids correspond to the stars of Orion's belt. The positioning of these massive structures suggests that the builders of the pyramids were not only skilled architects and engineers, but also deeply knowledgeable astronomers. To achieve such precision, the Egyptians must have possessed an advanced understanding of the night sky, an understanding that modern scholars continue to marvel at today. It is a level of celestial awareness that seems almost impossible for a civilization that lacked the technological tools we take for granted in the modern world. But this alignment with Orion is just one part of a much larger astronomical framework. The Egyptians also had a deep understanding of the movement of the stars, and the significance of certain celestial events. They closely observed the movements of the sun and the moon, the changing seasons, and the rising and setting of the stars. This astronomical knowledge was not just for practical purposes, like marking the passage of time or organizing agricultural activities. It was deeply spiritual. The Egyptians believed that the movement of the stars and planets was an expression of divine will, a reflection of the cosmic order that governed the universe. As such, the alignment of the pyramids with the stars was an act of cosmic significance, a deliberate effort to reflect the order of the heavens on earth. The idea that the pyramids were designed with such precise astronomical knowledge suggests that the ancient Egyptians were not simply building monuments to their pharaohs. They were constructing a cosmic bridge between earth and the heavens, a structure that would serve as a means for the soul of the pharaoh to ascend to the divine realm. The pyramid, with its pointed top and vast base, was seen as a representation of the rays of the sun, a symbol of the divine energy that would carry the pharaoh's soul upward to join the gods. The design of the pyramid itself, then, was a reflection of the Egyptians' deep understanding of the cosmic forces at work in the universe. But the celestial alignments of the pyramids go beyond just the stars of Orion. Other significant alignments have been discovered over the years, showing that the Egyptians also had an intimate knowledge of the solstices, the equinoxes, and the movements of the sun. The Great Pyramid's position is aligned so precisely with true north that its margin of error is less than a fraction of a degree. This level of precision suggests that the builders of the pyramids had a deep understanding of the Earth's geometry, its relationship to the stars, and the forces that govern both. This knowledge, it seems, was not the product of mere observation, but of a sophisticated understanding of celestial mechanics that would have been beyond the grasp of most ancient civilizations. One of the most intriguing aspects of this alignment is the possibility that the pyramids were not just meant to align with the stars, but to interact with them in some way. Some researchers have suggested that the pyramids may have been designed to serve as a kind of energy amplifier, using the cosmic energy of the stars and the sun to power the structure and the soul of the pharaoh. This theory posits that the pyramids were not simply tombs, but sophisticated machines built to capture and channel cosmic energy. The very shape of the pyramid, with its sharp angles and pointed top, could have been designed to focus and direct this energy in a specific way, amplifying the power of the stars and the sun to facilitate the soul's ascent into the afterlife. While this theory remains speculative, it is a testament to the Egyptians' deep understanding of the forces of nature and their ability to incorporate these forces into the very design of their monuments. The Egyptians were not alone in their fascination with the stars and their cosmic significance. Throughout the ancient world, many cultures built monuments that were aligned with the heavens, from the ziggurats of Mesopotamia to the stone circles of the British Isles. However, the precision with which the pyramids were constructed and the depth of meaning behind their celestial alignments sets them apart. The Giza pyramids, with their precise alignments to the stars, represent the pinnacle of ancient architectural and astronomical knowledge, an achievement that continues to astound modern researchers and historians. The fact that these structures have stood for thousands of years, surviving the ravages of time, natural disasters, and even human interference, only adds to their mystique. This alignment with the stars is not merely an artifact of ancient Egyptian religious belief. It is also a symbol of the Egyptians' quest for immortality. The afterlife, for the Egyptians, was not an abstract concept but a journey that involved both physical and spiritual transformation. The soul of the pharaoh, upon death, was believed to travel through the heavens, guided by the stars, to join the gods in the afterlife. The alignment of the pyramids with Orion's belt and the careful positioning of the structures on the Giza plateau were deliberate acts that ensured the soul's journey would be properly guided. The pyramids were not just tombs. They were cosmic portals, designed to facilitate the pharaoh's transition from the earthly realm to the divine. The more we learn about the celestial alignments of the pyramids, the more we realize just how much the Egyptians understood about the universe. Their mastery of astronomy, their ability to align massive structures with such precision, and their deep connection to the cosmos reveal a civilization that was far ahead of its time. The pyramids were not just monuments to earthly power. They were symbols of a much larger, cosmic order, a reflection of the divine forces that governed the universe. The ancient Egyptians did not just build for the present. They built for eternity, creating a structure that would not only stand the test of time but also connect them to the very fabric of the cosmos itself. The pyramids, in all their glory, are a testament to the Egyptians' belief that the earth and the heavens were not separate realms, but two parts of a larger, unified whole, a whole that they sought to reflect in their greatest architectural achievement. The precision with which the pyramids were constructed is nothing short of extraordinary. The ancient Egyptians, with their rudimentary tools and technologies, achieved feats of engineering that modern architects and engineers still find baffling. How could a civilization without cranes, bulldozers, or even simple pulleys build structures that have withstood the test of time for over 4,500 years? The answer lies in the careful planning, sophisticated knowledge of geometry, and the application of sacred mathematical principles that were woven into every aspect of pyramid construction. It is not just the size or the scale of the pyramids that commands awe, but the hidden mathematics that underpins their design, mathematics that seems to transcend the time and knowledge of the ancient world. At the heart of the pyramid's construction is the application of geometry, and specifically, sacred geometry, which was revered in ancient Egypt. The Egyptians understood that certain shapes, angles, and proportions held symbolic and energetic power. This understanding is reflected in the design of the pyramids, which adhere to principles that we now associate with the most fundamental mathematical constants. The Great Pyramid of Giza, in particular, is a testament to the Egyptians' mastery of mathematical design. The ratio of the pyramid's height to the perimeter of its base is an approximation of the value of pi, an irrational number that describes the relationship between the circumference and the diameter of a circle. While the concept of pi wasn't formally discovered until centuries later, the Egyptians had unknowingly incorporated this key mathematical constant into the design of their greatest monument. This is not just a coincidence. It speaks to the ancient Egyptians' profound understanding of the world around them. In addition to pi, the Great Pyramid also embodies the golden ratio, another mathematical constant that has intrigued mathematicians and artists for millennia. The golden ratio is a proportion that appears in nature, art, and architecture, and is often associated with beauty and harmony. The relationship between the height and the base of the Great Pyramid is remarkably close to the golden ratio, a perfect proportion that gives the pyramid a sense of balance and harmony that resonates on a deeply aesthetic level. This use of the golden ratio is not accidental. The Egyptians saw mathematical beauty as a reflection of divine order, and they believed that the application of these sacred proportions would bring harmony to both the physical and spiritual realms. By embedding such principles into the very design of the pyramid, the Egyptians created a structure that was not only physically precise, but also spiritually potent. The precision with which the pyramids were constructed extends beyond just these mathematical principles. The alignment of the Great Pyramid with true north is another remarkable feat of engineering. The Great Pyramid's sides are aligned so precisely with the cardinal directions that the error is less than a fraction of a degree. To achieve such accuracy, the Egyptians must have had an advanced understanding of the Earth's geometry and its relationship to the stars. This precision suggests that the Egyptians were using astronomical observations to guide the construction of the pyramid. By measuring the position of the stars or the movement of the sun, they were able to orient the pyramid with astonishing accuracy. This level of precision is hard to fathom when you consider that the tools available to the Egyptians were primitive by today's standards. Without telescopes or computers, they were able to construct a building that aligns so perfectly with the natural world. One of the most compelling aspects of the pyramid's design is its relationship to the natural world, and how the Egyptians used the geometry of the pyramid to reflect universal principles. The shape of the pyramid itself is a powerful symbol in ancient Egyptian thought. The pyramid's triangular sides represent the rays of the sun, and its upward-pointing apex is a symbol of the divine, reaching toward the heavens. This geometric form is not just a matter of aesthetic preference. It is a reflection of the Egyptians' belief in the connection between the earth and the heavens, the physical and the divine. The pyramid's shape is designed to channel the spiritual energy that flows from the heavens down to the earth, and vice versa. In this sense, the pyramid is not just a monument of stone, but a living, breathing symbol of the cosmic order. But it's not just the shape of the pyramid that reflects these principles. It's also the materials that were used in its construction. The Egyptians carefully selected materials that were not only durable, but also imbued with symbolic meaning. The limestone that forms the bulk of the pyramid was quarried locally, but the outer casing of the Great Pyramid was made from highly polished Tura limestone, which would have reflected the sunlight, causing the pyramid to shine brilliantly during the day. This polished surface symbolized the sun's rays, which were considered a source of divine power. The use of granite in the internal chambers of the pyramid is also significant, as granite was seen as a particularly strong and sacred material, associated with the gods. The careful selection of these materials shows that the Egyptians saw the pyramid as more than just a physical structure. They saw it as a vessel for divine energy, a conduit through which the pharaoh could ascend to the afterlife. The sheer size and scale of the Great Pyramid also raise questions about how it was constructed. The pyramid consists of over 2 million limestone blocks, each weighing several tons. The total weight of the Great Pyramid is estimated to be around 6 million tons. How could a civilization with limited resources transport and position these massive blocks with such precision? The answer, it seems, lies in the ingenuity and organization of the Egyptians. They developed a system of ramps and levers to move the stone blocks into place, and their labor force was highly organized, with workers assigned to specific tasks according to their skills and expertise. Recent discoveries suggest that the workers who built the pyramids were not slaves, as once thought, but skilled laborers who were part of a highly organized workforce. These workers were likely housed in workers' villages, where they were provided with food, shelter, and tools. This level of organization and planning speaks to the sophistication of the Egyptian state and its ability to mobilize a vast workforce to achieve such an ambitious project. One of the most compelling aspects of the pyramid's construction is the possibility that the Egyptians had access to advanced knowledge or technology that has been lost to time. The precision with which the pyramids were built, the alignment with the stars, and the use of sacred geometry all suggest a level of knowledge that was far ahead of its time. Some researchers have even proposed that the Egyptians may have had access to advanced tools or techniques, perhaps even a form of lost technology, that allowed them to construct the pyramids with such precision. While this remains speculative, the sheer scale and complexity of the pyramids suggest that the Egyptians were using methods that we have yet to fully understand. The Great Pyramid of Giza remains a monument to the genius of the ancient Egyptians. It is not just a tomb for a pharaoh, but a reflection of the Egyptians' deep understanding of mathematics, astronomy, and the natural world. The pyramid is a perfect fusion of art and science, an expression of the divine order that the Egyptians believed governed the universe. The use of sacred geometry, the precise alignment with the stars, and the selection of materials all point to a civilization that was far ahead of its time, one that saw the construction of the pyramid as a spiritual act, a way to connect the earthly realm with the divine. Even today, the Great Pyramid stands as a testament to the extraordinary knowledge and craftsmanship of the ancient Egyptians, and it continues to inspire wonder and awe in all who behold it. The mysteries of the pyramid are far from solved, and as we continue to study and explore this ancient wonder, we may yet uncover even more astonishing secrets hidden within its stones. As we look deeper into the significance of the pyramids, it becomes clear that these awe-inspiring structures were not merely built as tombs for the pharaohs. They were part of a larger, more complex vision, one that connected the earthly realm with the divine. The purpose of the pyramids transcended the physical. In ancient Egypt, the afterlife was considered a continuation of life, a journey that involved spiritual transformation and ascension. The pharaohs, as divine rulers, were believed to be the intermediaries between the gods and their people. Their death and subsequent burial in the pyramids marked not just the end of their physical life, but the beginning of their eternal journey in the afterlife. The pyramids, in this sense, were more than just grand structures. They were sacred vehicles for the soul's journey to the divine. The spiritual symbolism embedded in the pyramid's design is profound. The pyramid itself, with its geometric shape, was a representation of the sun's rays. In ancient Egyptian mythology, the sun was a symbol of creation, rebirth, and immortality. The pyramid's upward-pointing shape symbolized the pharaoh's ascent to the heavens, to join the gods in the afterlife. The rays of the sun were believed to carry the soul of the pharaoh upward, to guide it toward immortality. The pyramid was not just a tomb. It was a bridge between the physical and spiritual realms, a structure designed to facilitate the journey of the soul as it passed from the mortal world to the divine. But this journey was not just for the pharaoh. The Egyptians believed that the afterlife was available to all, not just the rulers. However, it was the pharaoh, as the representative of the gods on earth, who played the central role in this spiritual ascension. The pyramid, as a tomb, served as the pharaoh's final resting place, but it also symbolized his rebirth in the afterlife. The burial chambers within the pyramids were often filled with treasures and items for the pharaoh's use in the afterlife, as well as inscriptions and prayers to guide the soul's journey. These items and inscriptions reflected the belief that death was not the end, but a transition to a new life, one in which the pharaoh would continue to watch over Egypt from the heavens. The complex rituals and ceremonies that accompanied the construction and burial of the pyramids further emphasized the spiritual nature of these structures. The construction of the pyramids was not a simple task of moving stone blocks into place. It was a process that involved meticulous planning, deep knowledge of astronomy and geometry, and a strong sense of religious and spiritual devotion. The workers who built the pyramids were not just laborers, they were part of a larger spiritual endeavor. Their work was seen as sacred, as they were helping to ensure the pharaoh's successful journey into the afterlife. The process of building the pyramid, with its carefully planned design and its alignment with the stars, was a reflection of the Egyptians' belief that the physical world was deeply connected to the spiritual realm. The alignment of the pyramids with the stars and the sun was not just a practical matter. It was a spiritual act. The ancient Egyptians were keen observers of the heavens, and their religious beliefs were deeply intertwined with their understanding of the stars. The position of the pyramids, especially their alignment with Orion's belt and the star Sirius, was symbolic of the pharaoh's connection to the gods. In particular, the stars of Orion were associated with Osiris, the god of the afterlife. Osiris was believed to rule the underworld and govern the process of death and rebirth. By aligning the pyramids with these stars, the Egyptians were essentially placing the pharaoh on a path that would allow his soul to join Osiris and ascend to the heavens. The star Sirius also played a key role in the Egyptians' understanding of the afterlife. Known as the dog star, Sirius was associated with the goddess Isis, the sister and wife of Osiris, and was believed to govern the Nile's annual flooding, a vital event for the agricultural cycle in Egypt. The heliacal rising of Sirius, which occurred just before dawn, marked the beginning of the flood season and was seen as a sign of rebirth and renewal. This connection between Sirius and the flood of the Nile reinforced the idea that death and rebirth were cyclical processes, and that the pharaoh's soul would be reborn in the afterlife, just as the land of Egypt was reborn with the floodwaters. The alignment of the pyramids with these stars was, in essence, a cosmic ritual, one that ensured the soul's successful journey from the mortal world to the divine. The placement of the pyramids on the Giza Plateau, in particular, was also carefully considered. The plateau is situated in a location that is not only astronomically significant but also geographically strategic. Giza lies on the western bank of the Nile, the site associated with death and the afterlife. In ancient Egyptian cosmology, the west was the realm of the dead, while the east was the realm of the living, where the sun rose each day. By placing the pyramids on the western bank, the Egyptians were aligning the pharaoh's tomb with the land of the dead, ensuring that the pharaoh's soul would be properly guided to the afterlife. The pyramid's position on the plateau also created a powerful visual effect. The structures rise dramatically against the horizon, making them visible for miles around, and their imposing presence serves as a constant reminder of the pharaoh's divine power and eternal reign. The design of the pyramid complex also reflected the Egyptians' belief in the pharaoh's divine status. The Great Pyramid of Giza, the largest and most impressive of the three pyramids, was built for Pharaoh Khufu, and it was designed to reflect his supreme power and his connection to the gods. The pyramid was originally covered in smooth, white limestone, which would have made it shine brilliantly in the sun, symbolizing the pharaoh's radiance and divine authority. The pyramid's massive size and geometric precision conveyed the pharaoh's dominance over the land, while its symbolic connection to the sun and the stars reinforced the idea that the pharaoh was a living god, destined to rule both in life and in death. Inside the pyramids, the burial chambers were carefully constructed to protect the pharaoh's body and ensure the continuation of his soul's journey. The chambers were often filled with treasures, food, and items that the pharaoh would need in the afterlife, reflecting the belief that the afterlife was an extension of life on Earth. The walls of the tombs were often inscribed with spells and prayers from the pyramid texts, the oldest religious texts in ancient Egypt, which were designed to help the pharaoh navigate the dangers of the underworld and achieve eternal life. These texts were not just religious incantations. They were part of a larger spiritual blueprint, a map that guided the pharaoh through the afterlife and into the company of the gods. The pyramid itself, as a tomb and a temple, was more than just a resting place for the dead. It was a place of transformation. The process of burial, the rituals performed during the construction of the pyramid, and the alignment of the pyramid with the stars were all part of a carefully planned and deeply spiritual process. The pyramid was not just a physical structure. It was a sacred tool, designed to facilitate the pharaoh's passage into the divine. The more we learn about the design, construction, and spiritual significance of the pyramids, the clearer it becomes that they were far more than just tombs. They were cosmic monuments, carefully aligned with the stars and built to ensure that the pharaoh would ascend to the heavens, join the gods, and rule for all eternity. The pyramids, as sacred structures, were the ultimate expression of the Egyptians' beliefs in life, death, and rebirth, principles that remain as profound and mysterious as the pyramids themselves. The construction of the pyramids has long been surrounded by mystery, and one of the most compelling questions is how the ancient Egyptians managed to build such monumental structures with the tools and technologies available to them at the time. The sheer scale of the pyramids, particularly the Great Pyramid of Giza, which is made up of over 2 million limestone blocks, each weighing several tons, raises significant challenges for modern engineers and architects. How were these massive blocks transported and lifted to such heights? What methods did the Egyptians use to cut and shape the stones with such precision? Despite centuries of study and countless theories, the exact methods of pyramid construction remain one of history's greatest unsolved mysteries. One of the most widely accepted theories is that the Egyptians used ramps to move the massive blocks into place. Various types of ramps have been proposed, from straight ramps to zigzagging ramps, each designed to move the stones up the sides of the pyramid as construction progressed. Some researchers suggest that a straight ramp was built along one of the pyramid's faces, while others propose a spiral ramp that wound around the pyramid as it rose. These ramps, made from mud brick and limestone chippings, would have been labor-intensive to construct, but they would have provided a means for transporting the stones from the quarries to the construction site. The idea is that workers, using ropes and simple tools, could drag the massive stones up the ramps and into place. However, this theory of ramp-based construction is not without its challenges. The ramp system would have needed to be incredibly long to accommodate the height of the pyramid, and the logistics of building such a ramp would have been monumental. Some archaeologists argue that the construction of such long and steep ramps would have required a significant amount of labor, perhaps even more than was required to build the pyramid itself. Additionally, as the pyramid grew taller, the angle of the ramps would have become steeper, making it increasingly difficult to drag the heavy stones into place. This has led some to question whether ramps alone could have been sufficient to build the pyramids. As a result, alternative theories have emerged that suggest the Egyptians may have employed more advanced techniques or tools than we currently understand. One of the most intriguing theories involves the use of a system of levers and pulleys to lift the stone blocks into position. The basic principle of a lever is simple. By applying force at one end of a long beam, a much heavier load can be lifted at the other end. Some researchers suggest that the Egyptians may have used a series of levers, combined with ropes and pulleys, to raise the stones into place with greater efficiency. This system would have allowed workers to lift the stones with far less effort than simply dragging them up a ramp. There is also the possibility that the Egyptians had access to more advanced tools or techniques that have since been lost to time. Some theorists argue that the Egyptians may have possessed knowledge of lost technologies, such as advanced metalworking techniques, or even forms of energy manipulation that allowed them to cut and move the stones with greater ease. While this theory remains speculative, it raises the intriguing possibility that the Egyptians were capable of feats of engineering that modern civilization has yet to fully comprehend. One of the most fascinating aspects of pyramid construction is the precision with which the stones were cut and placed. The blocks of limestone used in the Great Pyramid were not simply rough-hewn pieces of stone. They were cut with remarkable precision, and their surfaces were finished to such a high degree of smoothness that it is difficult to imagine how the Egyptians achieved such accuracy without modern tools. In some cases, the joints between the stones are so tight that even a piece of paper cannot be inserted between them, which raises the question of how the Egyptians were able to achieve such a perfect fit without the use of advanced technology. Some researchers believe that the Egyptians may have used copper tools, such as chisels and saws, to cut the stones. Copper was readily available in ancient Egypt, and it is known that the Egyptians used copper tools for a variety of tasks. However, copper is a relatively soft metal, and it is unlikely that it would have been sufficient to cut through the hard limestone and granite used in the construction of the pyramids. This has led some to propose that the Egyptians may have used a form of abrasive cutting, where sand or another material was used to grind away the stone. Another possibility is that the Egyptians had access to more advanced cutting tools, perhaps made from harder metals or even a form of diamond-like material, which would have allowed them to cut through the stone with greater ease. The precision of the cuts also suggests that the Egyptians may have employed sophisticated measuring techniques to ensure that the stones were placed with exacting accuracy. The alignment of the stones in the pyramid is so precise that even modern surveyors would have difficulty achieving such a level of accuracy. This suggests that the Egyptians had an advanced understanding of geometry and spatial relationships, and that they employed sophisticated measuring instruments to ensure the correct placement of each stone. It is possible that they used simple tools, such as plumb bobs, leveling devices, and string lines, to measure and align the stones, but the level of precision they achieved suggests that they may have had access to more advanced measuring instruments. The sheer scale of the pyramid construction process also raises questions about the organization and logistics of the labor force. The Great Pyramid is estimated to have taken about 20 years to complete, which would have required the coordination of thousands of workers. These workers were not just slaves, as was once thought, but skilled laborers who were part of a highly organized workforce. The workers were likely divided into teams, each responsible for a specific task, such as cutting, transporting, or placing the stones. Evidence from worker cemeteries suggests that the workers were housed in nearby villages and were provided with food, shelter, and medical care, which implies that the pyramid construction was a highly organized and well-funded enterprise. The scale of the project would have required a complex supply chain, with quarries producing the necessary stone, labor forces moving the materials to the construction site, and skilled craftsmen cutting and shaping the stones. The workers would have also needed tools, food, water, and other resources, all of which had to be carefully coordinated. The construction of the pyramids, therefore, was not just a feat of engineering. It was a massive logistical undertaking that involved the coordination of thousands of people and resources. The labor force involved in pyramid construction was not just made up of workers, but also of priests, astronomers, engineers, and architects. These specialists would have been responsible for the design and layout of the pyramids, ensuring that the structure was both physically sound and aligned with the stars. The role of the priests in this process cannot be overstated, as they were the ones who oversaw the spiritual aspects of the pyramid construction, ensuring that the structure was in harmony with the divine. The combination of religious, scientific, and engineering knowledge that went into the construction of the pyramid speaks to the sophistication of ancient Egyptian society, and the remarkable way in which they integrated their spiritual beliefs with their architectural and engineering feats. The construction of the pyramids was a monumental task, one that required the collaboration of thousands of workers, specialists, and spiritual leaders. Despite the many mysteries surrounding the methods used to build these massive structures, it is clear that the Egyptians possessed an extraordinary level of knowledge and skill. The pyramids are not just monuments to the power of the pharaohs. They are testaments to the ingenuity, organization, and spirituality of the ancient Egyptians. As we continue to study these ancient wonders, we may yet uncover even more secrets about how they were built. But the truth is that the pyramids, in all their complexity and grandeur, remain a mystery that continues to captivate and inspire us today. The mysteries of the pyramid's construction are not limited to just the physical act of building these monumental structures. They extend to the broader question of why such an immense effort was undertaken in the first place. The pyramids, particularly the Great Pyramid of Giza, represent a grand convergence of religious belief, social hierarchy, and engineering ingenuity, all working together to create what many consider one of the greatest wonders of the ancient world. But what was the true purpose of these colossal structures? While the commonly accepted explanation is that they served as tombs for the pharaohs, the deeper layers of meaning surrounding the pyramids suggest that their construction may have had a much more profound significance, one that touched on the very core of Egyptian cosmology and the spiritual beliefs of the ancient Egyptians. At the heart of the pyramid's purpose lies the belief in the afterlife. Ancient Egyptians held a profound belief in life after death, and the pharaohs, as divine rulers, were considered the key mediators between the gods and the people. The pharaoh's role did not end with their earthly life. In fact, it was only through death that they could ascend to the heavens and join the gods in a divine existence. The pyramid, with its monumental scale and celestial alignment, was not simply a tomb. It was a gateway to the afterlife, a conduit through which the pharaoh's soul could ascend to the heavens and join the gods for eternity. The spiritual significance of the pyramid goes beyond just its shape or its alignment with the stars. The Egyptians believed that the very act of building the pyramid, with its careful attention to cosmic principles, was itself an act of divine order. The pyramid was a physical representation of the universe, a microcosm of the cosmos that reflected the Egyptians' understanding of the natural and spiritual worlds. The precise alignment of the pyramids with the stars, the sun, and the cardinal directions was not merely a technical feat. It was an attempt to reflect the divine order of the universe on Earth. By constructing the pyramid in such a way, the Egyptians were aligning themselves with the gods and ensuring that the pharaoh's soul would be guided through the trials of the afterlife. The alignment of the pyramids with the stars of Orion's belt and the star Sirius, in particular, highlights the importance of celestial movements in Egyptian religious thought. The Egyptians believed that the stars were not just distant points of light, but the realms of the gods themselves. The stars of Orion were associated with Osiris, the god of the afterlife, while the star Sirius was linked with Isis, Osiris' sister and wife. The alignment of the pyramids with these stars symbolized the pharaoh's connection to these deities, ensuring that upon death, his soul would join them in the afterlife. The pyramid was, in this sense, a cosmic ladder, a structure that bridged the gap between the earth and the heavens, allowing the soul of the pharaoh to ascend to the divine realm. This celestial connection was not only about the pharaoh's personal journey into the afterlife. It was also about the continued prosperity of Egypt itself. The pharaoh was not just a ruler in the mortal world. He was seen as a divine being who ensured the continued harmony of the cosmos. As the mediator between the gods and the people, the pharaoh's spiritual journey was directly tied to the well-being of Egypt as a whole. The construction of the pyramids, therefore, was not just an act of individual salvation. It was a national endeavor, one that involved the entire society in the process of maintaining cosmic order. The pyramids were built not just for the pharaoh's ascension, but for the benefit of the entire kingdom, ensuring that Egypt would continue to thrive for generations to come. The scale and grandeur of the pyramids also speak to the way in which the Egyptians viewed the relationship between the earthly and divine realms. In ancient Egypt, the pharaoh was seen as the living god on earth, a divine ruler who had been chosen by the gods to rule over Egypt. This divine status was reinforced through elaborate ceremonies, rituals, and, of course, monumental building projects like the pyramids. By constructing such awe-inspiring structures, the pharaoh's power and divinity were affirmed not only in the eyes of the people, but in the eyes of the gods. The pyramid was both a tomb and a testament to the power of the pharaoh, a symbol of his eternal reign in the afterlife. But the pyramids were not just physical structures. They were also repositories of knowledge. The process of building the pyramids required not only immense physical labor, but also a sophisticated understanding of mathematics, astronomy, and engineering. The ancient Egyptians possessed an advanced knowledge of geometry and celestial movements, which they applied in the design and construction of the pyramids. This knowledge was not only practical, it was also spiritual. The geometry of the pyramid, the alignment with the stars, and the intricate internal chambers were all designed to facilitate the pharaoh's passage into the afterlife. The pyramid was, in essence, a spiritual machine, one that utilized the laws of the natural world to guide the pharaoh's soul on its journey. The relationship between the pyramid and the pharaoh's journey to the afterlife is further emphasized by the pyramid texts, which are the oldest religious writings in the world. These texts, which were inscribed in the burial chambers of the pyramids, contain spells, prayers, and instructions that were meant to help the pharaoh navigate the afterlife. The texts describe the trials the pharaoh would face in the underworld, as well as the rituals and offerings that would ensure his safe passage to the realm of the gods. These texts underscore the belief that the pyramid was not just a tomb, but a tool for the soul's transformation, a sacred space that facilitated the pharaoh's journey from death to immortality. In a broader sense, the pyramids also reflect the central role of religion in ancient Egyptian society. Religion permeated every aspect of Egyptian life, from the daily rituals performed in the temples to the grand ceremonies associated with the burial of the pharaohs. The construction of the pyramids, with their massive scale and celestial alignment, was not just an architectural endeavor, it was an act of worship. The pyramid was a physical manifestation of the Egyptians' belief in the cyclical nature of life, death, and rebirth. The pharaoh's death and subsequent ascension to the heavens were not seen as the end, but as a continuation of the divine order, ensuring the eternal harmony of the universe. The construction of the pyramids also reflects the immense power and authority of the pharaohs. These monumental structures were not just a means of securing the pharaoh's place in the afterlife, they were also a way to display the pharaoh's power to the people. The sheer scale of the pyramids, their alignment with the stars, and their intricate design all served as symbols of the pharaoh's authority and divine right to rule. By commissioning the construction of such awe-inspiring structures, the pharaohs were able to cement their legacy as gods on earth, ensuring that their names would be remembered for centuries to come. In this sense, the pyramids can be seen as a form of eternal propaganda. The pharaoh's name was inscribed on the pyramid for all to see, ensuring that his legacy would be preserved for eternity. The pyramid was not just a tomb for the pharaoh, it was a statement of his divinity, a message to future generations that he was a ruler chosen by the gods, and that his power would endure long after his death. The pyramids, as monumental structures, served as a constant reminder of the pharaoh's divine rule and the enduring power of the Egyptian state. But the pyramids also represented something else: the collective effort of Egyptian society. The construction of the pyramids required the labor of thousands of workers, each contributing to the realization of this grand vision. The workers, craftsmen, architects, and priests who participated in the construction of the pyramids were not just building tombs, they were constructing the very fabric of Egyptian civilization. The pyramids were the product of a highly organized and complex society, one that was able to marshal its resources, skills, and knowledge to achieve something truly remarkable. The pyramids, in this sense, represent the pinnacle of ancient Egyptian society, a society that was able to bring together spiritual, political, and architectural forces to create something that has endured for millennia. Ultimately, the purpose of the pyramids was to secure the pharaoh's place in the afterlife, and by extension, to secure the continued prosperity of Egypt itself. The pyramids were not just tombs. They were gateways to eternity, portals through which the pharaoh's soul could ascend to the divine realm. But they were also symbols of the power and authority of the pharaohs, and of the enduring strength of Egyptian civilization. Even today, the pyramids stand as enduring testaments to the grandeur of ancient Egypt, a civilization whose influence continues to echo across time. The pyramids are not just monuments to the past. They are living symbols of Egypt's divine and eternal legacy. The exploration of the pyramids and their construction has fascinated researchers, archaeologists, and adventurers for centuries. But what is truly remarkable about the pyramids is the wealth of theories and speculations they continue to inspire. While most historians agree that the primary purpose of the pyramids was to serve as tombs for Egypt's pharaohs, there are countless other theories that seek to uncover hidden meanings and secret purposes behind these architectural marvels. Some of these theories suggest that the pyramids were built for astronomical or geographical purposes. Others propose that they were designed to serve as massive energy generators, while some even hint at their connection to lost civilizations or extraterrestrial beings. While many of these theories remain speculative at best, they continue to fuel the intrigue and mystery that surrounds the pyramids to this day. One of the most widely discussed theories is the idea that the pyramids were aligned with astronomical events, particularly the stars. Ancient Egypt's civilization was deeply intertwined with the heavens, and the stars, planets, and celestial movements played a significant role in their religious beliefs and daily lives. The Egyptians closely observed the movement of the stars, using them as a tool for agricultural planning and to determine the timing of religious rituals. In this context, it is perhaps not surprising that many scholars and researchers have suggested that the construction of the pyramids was intimately tied to astronomical observations. The alignment of the Great Pyramid of Giza with the stars of Orion's belt, in particular, has been a focal point for many of these theories. The stars of Orion were associated with Osiris, the god of the afterlife, and it was believed that the pharaoh's soul would ascend to the heavens and join Osiris in the afterlife. Some researchers suggest that the positioning of the Great Pyramid's internal chambers and passageways may have been designed to align with the stars, helping guide the pharaoh's soul toward Osiris and ensuring his successful transition to the afterlife. The fact that the pyramid's internal shafts point toward specific stars, such as the star Al-Nitak in Orion's belt, further supports this theory. These shafts may have been intended to direct the pharaoh's soul toward the heavens during the rituals of his burial, creating a direct connection between the earthly and celestial realms. This astronomical connection extends beyond just the Great Pyramid. The pyramids of Giza as a whole appear to be aligned with the stars of Orion's belt and the heliacal rising of the star Sirius, both of which had significant religious and spiritual meaning to the ancient Egyptians. The star Sirius was associated with the goddess Isis and played a crucial role in the flooding of the Nile, which was a vital event in the agricultural cycle. The Egyptians believed that the heliacal rising of Sirius marked the beginning of the flood season, and it was seen as a symbol of rebirth and renewal. The alignment of the pyramids with this star further underscores the idea that the pyramids were designed to reflect cosmic principles, and that the act of building the pyramids was intended to align the physical world with the divine order. In addition to the astronomical theories, there are other, more speculative ideas about the purpose of the pyramids that push the boundaries of what we currently understand about ancient Egyptian technology and knowledge. One of the most popular of these ideas is the theory that the pyramids were designed as massive energy generators. This theory suggests that the pyramids were constructed using a combination of materials and geometric shapes that created a form of energy amplification. Some proponents of this theory argue that the pyramids may have been designed to harness cosmic energy, drawing upon the Earth's natural electromagnetic fields or the forces of the sun, moon, and stars. This energy could have been used for a variety of purposes, from powering advanced technologies to enhancing the spiritual power of the pharaoh. The idea of the pyramids as energy generators is not entirely new. In the 19th century, the French engineer and researcher, Alexandre Moret, suggested that the Great Pyramid's shape and size could have been used to amplify energy from the Earth's magnetic field. This concept was revived in the 20th century by various alternative researchers who claimed that the pyramid's shape, combined with the materials used in its construction, could have been used to channel and amplify energy. Some even suggest that the pyramids were designed to be resonant structures, capable of producing sound waves or vibrations that could influence the human body or mind, perhaps even allowing for a form of spiritual or physical healing. While there is little concrete evidence to support these theories, the idea of the pyramids as energy generators has captured the imagination of many. The geometry of the Great Pyramid, with its precise proportions and alignment, does suggest that it was designed with a deep understanding of physical and natural principles. Whether these principles were used for the purpose of generating energy or for other spiritual or metaphysical purposes is still a matter of debate, but the idea that the pyramids may have had a purpose beyond that of a tomb is one that continues to fascinate and inspire. Another theory that has gained traction in recent years is the idea that the pyramids were built by a lost civilization, one that possessed advanced knowledge and technology far beyond what we currently believe was available to the ancient Egyptians. This theory proposes that the Egyptians were not the sole creators of the pyramids, but that they inherited the knowledge and technology from a previous civilization, one that may have been wiped out in a cataclysmic event. The most famous proponent of this idea is the American writer and researcher Graham Hancock, who has written extensively on the topic in his book Fingerprints of the Gods. Hancock and others who support this theory suggest that the pyramids were part of a global network of ancient monuments, all of which were constructed by a lost civilization that possessed advanced engineering and scientific knowledge. Supporters of this theory point to the precision of the pyramids' construction and the alignment of their features with the stars and celestial events as evidence that the builders of the pyramids had access to knowledge that has been lost to history. The fact that the Great Pyramid's dimensions appear to reflect the measurements of the Earth itself, the circumference of the Earth and the length of a degree of latitude, has led some to speculate that the ancient Egyptians, or the lost civilization that built the pyramids, may have had access to knowledge of geography and astronomy that was far ahead of its time. This theory is further supported by the discovery of similar ancient monuments around the world, such as the pyramids of Mesoamerica, which also exhibit sophisticated mathematical and astronomical alignments. The idea of a lost civilization is often tied to the legend of Atlantis, the mythical island described by the ancient Greek philosopher Plato. According to Plato, Atlantis was a highly advanced civilization that existed long before the time of the ancient Egyptians and was eventually destroyed in a cataclysmic event. Some theorists argue that the pyramids, along with other ancient monuments around the world, are the remnants of this lost civilization, built by survivors of Atlantis or by their descendants. This theory suggests that the knowledge and technologies of Atlantis were passed down to the ancient Egyptians, who then used them to construct the pyramids and other monumental structures. While the idea of a lost civilization remains speculative, it serves to highlight the enduring mystery of the pyramids and the profound questions they raise about the origins of human civilization and the potential for advanced knowledge in ancient times. Whether or not the pyramids were constructed by a lost civilization, the fact remains that their construction challenges our understanding of the technological capabilities of ancient peoples and continues to inspire new research and exploration. One of the most intriguing aspects of the pyramids is the continuing mystery surrounding their construction and purpose. Despite centuries of study and countless theories, the true methods used to build the pyramids remain elusive, and the question of why they were built remains open to interpretation. Whether the pyramids were built for spiritual, astronomical, or even energetic purposes, one thing is clear. They were the product of a civilization that possessed profound knowledge and insight into the natural world. The pyramids stand as monuments not just to the pharaohs who were buried within them, but to the ingenuity, creativity, and spiritual vision of the ancient Egyptians, whose legacy continues to captivate and mystify us today. The final days of the pharaohs are shrouded in mystery, not just because of the incredible constructions that they left behind, but also because of the cultural, religious, and political turmoil that often accompanied their passing. While the pyramids themselves are symbols of divine power and eternal rule, they also embody the deeply human fears and desires that drove the ancient Egyptians to build these monumental structures. The death of a pharaoh was not simply the end of a life, it was the end of an era, the conclusion of a divine reign, and the beginning of a transition for the entire nation. The ancient Egyptians believed that their ruler was the linchpin of the cosmos, the one who maintained order and harmony between the gods and the people. With his death, the balance of the world could tip, and the forces of chaos might once again take hold. For this reason, the burial of the pharaoh, the rituals surrounding his death, and the very act of constructing his pyramid were matters of cosmic significance, as they ensured the continuation of both the divine order and the earthly kingdom. As each pharaoh passed into the afterlife, there was the need for monumental rituals to ensure that their souls would ascend to the heavens and join the gods. This was not an automatic process. It required divine intervention, a journey that was fraught with trials and dangers. The Egyptians believed that the afterlife was not just a peaceful resting place but a continuation of the trials and tribulations of the living world. The pharaoh's soul had to navigate a complex underworld filled with challenges, demons, and obstacles before it could reach the realm of the gods. This was where the pyramid texts came into play, inscribed on the walls of the burial chambers, guiding the soul of the pharaoh through the dangerous journey ahead. These texts, some of the earliest religious writings in human history, contain spells, prayers, and incantations designed to assist the pharaoh's soul in overcoming the challenges of the underworld. But these texts were more than just magical words. They were spiritual instructions, helping the pharaoh transcend the limits of mortal existence and move from death to rebirth. The intricate rituals performed during the burial of the pharaoh also reflected the belief that the death of the ruler was an event of profound importance not just for the deceased but for the entire nation. The Egyptian people saw the passing of their king as a vital transition for the entire kingdom, one that demanded the intervention of the gods. The funeral rites were intended to restore order and ensure the continued prosperity of the land. If the rituals were carried out correctly, the pharaoh's soul would be reborn, and Egypt would remain protected from the forces of chaos. If these rites were neglected or improperly performed, the land could fall into disarray, and the people would suffer. The construction of the pyramid was, in this sense, both a political and a spiritual act, as it served as a repository for the pharaoh's body and a conduit for his soul's journey to the afterlife. But it also represented the stability of the Egyptian state. The pyramid's immensity was a direct reflection of the pharaoh's power, and by ensuring that the pharaoh's soul could successfully ascend to the divine, the Egyptians believed they were securing the welfare of the entire nation. The burial of a pharaoh was not only a ritual of religious and spiritual significance, but also a demonstration of the power and grandeur of the pharaoh himself. The extravagant nature of these burials was meant to reinforce the divine status of the ruler and ensure that his memory would be preserved for all time. The construction of the pyramid and the treasures interred within it were intended to signify the wealth and majesty of the pharaoh, even in death. The burial chambers of the pyramids were filled with precious artifacts, weapons, jewelry, and food, items that were meant to sustain the pharaoh in the afterlife. These treasures were not simply for personal use, but were seen as necessary components for the pharaoh's soul's journey. The belief was that the pharaoh would need these items to navigate the underworld and to establish his power in the afterlife, just as he had needed them to maintain his earthly reign. The focus on death and rebirth in the Egyptian afterlife reflects the central importance of the sun and the idea of cosmic renewal. The sun, the giver of life, was intimately tied to the concept of death and resurrection. The Egyptians believed that the sun god, Ra, sailed through the underworld each night and was reborn at dawn. This cycle of death and rebirth mirrored the pharaoh's own journey through the afterlife. The pyramid, with its ascending shape, was designed to symbolize the pharaoh's soul's ascent to the heavens, and it was often said that the pyramid's peak was the place where the soul of the pharaoh could join the sun god in the afterlife, thus achieving immortality. The alignment of the pyramids with the stars and the sun reflected this deep connection to cosmic cycles, ensuring that the pharaoh's journey into the afterlife would be one of renewal and rebirth, just as the sun was reborn every morning. In the centuries following the construction of the first pyramids, the death and burial of the pharaohs continued to be grand and elaborate affairs. However, the political and spiritual meaning behind the pyramid burial evolved over time, as Egypt's fortunes changed. The Old Kingdom, during which the Great Pyramid of Giza and its predecessors were built, represented a period of stability, wealth, and power, but this would not last forever. As Egypt entered the Middle Kingdom and then the New Kingdom, the political landscape changed, and the authority of the pharaohs gradually weakened. The power of the priesthood grew, and Egypt began to face external threats from neighboring peoples. During these later periods, the focus on monumental pyramids as burial sites began to diminish. The pyramids of the New Kingdom were smaller and less elaborate, and the royal tombs were increasingly located in hidden valleys, rather than in the grand tombs of the Giza Plateau. The decline in pyramid construction during these later periods also coincided with changes in religious beliefs. While the sun god Ra continued to play a central role in Egyptian cosmology, the afterlife itself became a more complex and nuanced concept. The pharaoh's soul was no longer seen as the sole beneficiary of the divine powers of the gods, but rather as part of a larger cosmic order. The idea of universal salvation, where not just the pharaoh but all Egyptians could achieve immortality, began to gain prominence. The tombs of the pharaohs of the New Kingdom were filled with texts that described the various stages of the afterlife, many of which indicated that the path to immortality was not reserved only for the elite. The Egyptians had long believed that the pharaoh's soul could ascend to join the gods, but now the concept of the afterlife was expanding to include more people, suggesting that the afterlife was a shared, collective journey rather than an individual one. Despite the decline of the pyramid as the burial structure of choice, the pyramids of the Old Kingdom, especially those at Giza, remained enduring symbols of Egypt's golden age, a time when the pharaoh's divine authority and the strength of the Egyptian state were at their peak. The enduring legacy of these monumental tombs continues to be a testament to the religious, cultural, and political vision of the ancient Egyptians. The pyramids were not just tombs. They were symbols of eternal power, cosmic order, and the belief that death was merely a transition to an eternal existence in the afterlife. Even today, the pyramids stand as awe-inspiring monuments to an ancient civilization whose understanding of life, death, and the cosmos was far ahead of its time. The pharaohs, as divine beings, were the key to maintaining order and harmony on Earth, and their pyramids remain as timeless reminders of their role in the divine order of the universe. The quest to understand the true nature of the pyramids, their construction, and their purpose continues to captivate the minds of historians, archaeologists, and scientists around the world. Over the centuries, various theories have emerged to explain not just how the pyramids were built, but why they were built in such a monumental, precise, and seemingly otherworldly manner. As researchers delve deeper into the past, what emerges is a picture of a civilization that possessed a profound understanding of mathematics, astronomy, and spiritual beliefs, knowledge that was used not just to construct buildings, but to encode mysteries within the very structure of the pyramids themselves. Yet, even with all of the advances in archaeological techniques, the true secrets of the pyramids remain elusive, leaving behind a tantalizing mystery that only deepens with time. One of the most compelling aspects of the pyramids is the mathematical precision involved in their construction. From the Great Pyramid of Giza to the smaller pyramids scattered across Egypt, each structure is a testament to the Egyptians' extraordinary knowledge of geometry. The base of the Great Pyramid, for example, is nearly perfectly level, with variations in height measured in millimeters. The sheer scale of the pyramid and its alignment with the cardinal directions suggests that the builders had a sophisticated understanding of both engineering and astronomy. This precision extends to the internal chambers of the pyramid as well. The angles of the passages, the alignment of the shafts, and even the placement of the burial chamber itself all suggest a careful and deliberate design, one that was meant to ensure the safe passage of the pharaoh's soul into the afterlife. The mathematical mastery of the pyramid builders is even more remarkable when we consider the limited tools they had at their disposal. Unlike modern engineers, who have access to laser measurements and advanced surveying equipment, the ancient Egyptians had to rely on basic tools and their own observation of the natural world. Yet, with these simple tools, they were able to create structures that not only stand the test of time but also embody complex mathematical and astronomical principles. The precision of the Great Pyramid's alignment with the stars and the sun, as well as the proportionate relationship between the height and the base, has led some scholars to suggest that the Egyptians used advanced mathematical techniques that we have only recently come to understand. The ratio of the pyramid's height to the perimeter of its base, for example, closely approximates the mathematical constant pi, a ratio that was not formally discovered in Western mathematics until centuries later. Some researchers propose that the Egyptians may have had access to a lost or hidden knowledge, one that allowed them to create such precise and monumental structures. This theory is bolstered by the observation that many ancient civilizations, from the Sumerians to the Mayans, seem to possess an extraordinary understanding of mathematics and astronomy that was far ahead of their time. Some even suggest that the Egyptians were in contact with other, perhaps even more ancient, civilizations that passed down this knowledge, creating a network of wisdom that transcended borders and time periods. While there is no direct evidence to support this idea, the advanced nature of the pyramids, combined with the near-perfect proportions and alignments, has led to speculation that the Egyptians possessed knowledge that has been lost or forgotten by later generations. The astronomical alignments of the pyramids are just as intriguing as their mathematical properties. Many of the pyramids are carefully aligned with specific stars, constellations, and celestial events, reflecting the Egyptians' deep connection to the heavens. The Great Pyramid of Giza, for example, is aligned with remarkable precision to the cardinal points of the compass, with each side facing north, south, east, and west. This alignment is not accidental. It was likely intended to honor the gods and to ensure that the pharaoh's soul would be able to ascend to the heavens after death. The alignment of the pyramids with the stars of Orion's belt and the star Sirius suggests that the ancient Egyptians were not simply observing the stars, but were actively incorporating them into their religious and architectural practices. The stars of Orion were associated with Osiris, the god of the afterlife, while the star Sirius was linked with Isis, Osiris' sister and wife. This celestial connection was not just symbolic. It was believed that the pharaoh's soul would journey to the stars after death, joining the gods and continuing his reign in the afterlife. This cosmic connection between the pyramids and the stars points to an even deeper, more mystical purpose behind their construction. The Egyptians viewed the afterlife not as an end, but as a continuation of life, a journey that took place in the realm of the gods. The pyramid was not simply a tomb. It was a portal to the afterlife, a cosmic machine designed to help the pharaoh ascend to the heavens and join the gods. The alignment of the pyramids with the stars ensured that the pharaoh's soul would have a direct path to follow, one that mirrored the celestial journey of the sun god Ra, who was believed to sail through the underworld each night and be reborn at dawn. Just as the sun rose each day to bring light and life to the world, so too did the pharaoh's soul rise to join the gods, ensuring the continued harmony of the universe. The spiritual and religious significance of the pyramids goes beyond just their role as tombs for the pharaohs. They were also centers of worship, places where rituals were performed to honor the gods and ensure the continued favor of the divine. The construction of the pyramid was a monumental religious undertaking, one that involved not just the labor of thousands of workers, but also the participation of priests, astronomers, and spiritual leaders. These individuals were responsible for ensuring that the pyramid was built according to divine specifications, that the rituals associated with the pharaoh's death were carried out correctly, and that the pharaoh's soul was guided to its final resting place in the afterlife. This integration of religion, science, and architecture in the construction of the pyramid speaks to the sophistication of ancient Egyptian society. Unlike modern civilizations, where religion and science are often viewed as separate entities, the ancient Egyptians saw no division between the two. For them, the study of the stars, the construction of monuments, and the performance of religious rituals were all interconnected, part of a larger system designed to maintain the balance of the cosmos. The construction of the pyramids was not just a feat of engineering. It was a sacred act, one that required the cooperation of the entire society to achieve. Yet, despite the incredible advancements made by the ancient Egyptians, the true nature of their knowledge and the methods they used to construct the pyramids remain elusive. Modern archaeology has uncovered a wealth of evidence regarding the construction techniques used in pyramid building, including the use of ramps, levers, and other simple machines. But even with this knowledge, the exact methods of construction are still a matter of debate. How did the Egyptians move and place the massive stones that make up the pyramids? How did they achieve such precision without modern tools? These questions continue to challenge our understanding of ancient Egyptian engineering and craftsmanship. One theory that has gained traction in recent years suggests that the pyramids were built using a system of advanced geometry and mathematics that allowed the Egyptians to cut, shape, and place the stones with extraordinary precision. According to this theory, the Egyptians did not rely solely on brute force or simple ramps to move the stones but used geometric principles to calculate the best angles and positions for the stones, allowing them to fit together with incredible accuracy. This theory is supported by the fact that the blocks used in pyramid construction were often cut with remarkable precision, and the joints between the blocks are so tight that even a piece of paper cannot be inserted between them. This level of precision suggests that the Egyptians possessed an advanced understanding of geometry and mathematics, which they applied not only to their construction methods but also to their religious and spiritual practices. Despite all of the theories and evidence, the question of how the pyramids were built and why they were built remains one of the greatest mysteries of ancient history. While we may never fully understand the methods used to construct these monumental structures, what is clear is that the pyramids are not simply tombs. They are symbols of the extraordinary knowledge, skill, and vision of the ancient Egyptians. The pyramids are monuments to the gods, to the pharaohs, and to the enduring power of a civilization that saw itself as an integral part of the cosmic order. As we continue to study the pyramids, we are reminded of the timeless quest for knowledge, the human desire to understand the mysteries of the universe, and the eternal search for meaning that lies at the heart of all great civilizations. The pyramids stand as a monumental testament to the power and complexity of ancient Egyptian civilization. However, beyond their physical and astronomical significance, these structures are rich with deeper, more hidden meanings, those tied not just to the rulers and their afterlife, but to the entire society that constructed them. The labor involved in building these ancient wonders was not just a matter of physical construction. It was imbued with profound symbolism. Every stone placed, every passageway carved, was part of a larger, spiritual and social project that was about maintaining cosmic order, reinforcing political authority, and ensuring the continued prosperity of Egypt. In order to understand the full impact of the pyramids, we must explore not just their physical construction, but the way in which they embodied the very essence of Egyptian beliefs, values, and society. One of the central pillars of ancient Egyptian thought was the concept of Ma'at, universal order and balance, the divine principle that governed all aspects of the cosmos, from the movement of the stars to the conduct of individuals. Ma'at was the measure of all things, the force that held the universe in harmony, and it was the duty of the pharaoh to uphold it. The pyramids were not merely tombs, they were representations of this cosmic order, designed to maintain Ma'at even in death. When a pharaoh died, it was believed that the balance of the universe was threatened, for the ruler was seen as the living manifestation of Ma'at. His death could be seen as the introduction of chaos into the world. The act of building a pyramid and the rituals surrounding the burial of the pharaoh were meant to restore order, ensuring that the deceased ruler would ascend to the heavens and continue to maintain the harmony of the cosmos from beyond the grave. The construction of the pyramids was, in this sense, both a spiritual and a political act. It was an act of divine service, designed to honor the gods and to safeguard Egypt's future. The workers who built the pyramids, often thought of as mere laborers, were in fact engaged in an act of worship. The massive workforce needed to construct a pyramid was not made up of slaves, as is often portrayed in popular culture, but of skilled laborers, craftsmen, and priests, many of whom likely viewed their work as a form of devotion. The laborers and builders were considered to be carrying out a sacred task, one that was essential for the welfare of the nation and the pharaoh's successful passage into the afterlife. In addition to their spiritual significance, the pyramids were a symbol of the immense power and authority of the pharaoh. The sheer scale and grandeur of these structures were meant to communicate to both the people and the gods that the pharaoh was not just a ruler on earth, but a divine figure whose power was eternal. The pyramids themselves were a form of propaganda, a declaration that the pharaoh's reign would never end, even with his death. The pyramid was a physical manifestation of the pharaoh's divine power, and its size and construction were designed to reflect the greatness of the ruler. The fact that the pyramids were not just personal tombs, but were deeply interwoven with the religious and political life of Egypt further emphasizes the social importance of these structures. Each pyramid was more than a tomb. It was a reflection of the civilization itself, its faith, its values, and its understanding of life and death. The construction of the pyramids was a societal endeavor that involved not just the royal court, but the entire nation. From the architects and engineers who designed the structures, to the priests who oversaw the spiritual rituals, to the laborers who physically built the pyramids, the entire population played a part in this grand undertaking. This deep connection between the pharaoh and the state is also reflected in the funerary texts that were inscribed within the pyramids. These texts, such as the pyramid texts and later the coffin texts and the Book of the Dead, were designed to guide the soul of the pharaoh through the trials of the afterlife. These sacred writings were not just intended to help the pharaoh's soul find its way to the heavens. They were also a record of the pharaoh's divine status and his unbroken connection to the gods. The texts served as a reminder of the pharaoh's responsibility to uphold Ma'at, even after his death. They were a form of spiritual insurance, a safeguard for the pharaoh's soul in the uncertain world of the afterlife. The pyramid texts themselves, some of the oldest religious writings known to humanity, provide a glimpse into the way the Egyptians viewed death and the afterlife. These texts describe the journey of the pharaoh's soul as it makes its way through the underworld, confronting various dangers and trials. The ultimate goal was for the pharaoh's soul to ascend to the heavens, where it would join the gods, most notably Osiris, the god of the afterlife. The texts were filled with spells and prayers that were meant to ensure the pharaoh's success in this journey, securing his place among the divine. What makes these texts so significant is the way in which they emphasize the relationship between the living and the dead. The pharaoh's death was not seen as an end, but as a transition, one that required a continuous link between the two worlds. The pharaoh was expected to continue to watch over Egypt from the afterlife, providing for the needs of the living just as he had done during his reign. In this way, the pyramid was not just a tomb. It was an eternal abode for the pharaoh, where he could continue to serve his people, ensuring Egypt's prosperity for all eternity. This cyclical view of life and death, where death was not an end but a continuation, reflects the deep spiritual and cultural beliefs that underpinned the entire pyramid-building process. Moreover, the building of the pyramids reflected the importance of time and the continuity of the state. The Egyptians viewed time as a cyclical force, and the construction of the pyramids was a way to align the pharaoh's reign with the eternal cycles of nature. The pyramids themselves were aligned with celestial events, particularly the movements of the stars and the sun, in a way that reflected the passage of time and the ongoing nature of the cosmos. These alignments were not merely symbolic. They were believed to help the pharaoh navigate his journey through the afterlife and maintain his connection to the divine. The relationship between the pharaoh and the cosmos was embodied in the pyramid itself, which was seen as a link between the earthly realm and the divine. The shape of the pyramid, with its upward slope, was designed to reflect the pharaoh's ascent to the heavens. The internal passages and shafts were aligned with specific stars, ensuring that the pharaoh's soul would be guided toward the heavens and toward the gods. This spiritual geometry was not simply an aesthetic choice. It was a conscious effort to ensure the pharaoh's place in the cosmos, securing his role as the eternal ruler of Egypt. The pyramids were also part of a larger network of temples, monuments, and sacred sites that formed the spiritual landscape of Egypt. These sites were interconnected, both physically and symbolically, and they created a cosmic map that reflected the relationship between the earth and the heavens. The pyramids, as part of this network, played a central role in ensuring that Egypt remained in balance and that the pharaoh's soul was properly guided to its final destination. In this way, the pyramids were not just monumental tombs. They were sacred structures, designed to ensure the continued harmony of the universe. The impact of the pyramids on Egyptian society cannot be overstated. They were not just buildings. They were the embodiment of the nation's religious beliefs, political structure, and social values. They represented the divine right of the pharaoh to rule, the relationship between the gods and the people, and the unbroken continuity of the state. The construction of the pyramids required the collaboration of thousands of workers, priests, and craftsmen, all of whom played a role in creating a structure that was meant to endure for eternity. The pyramid was the physical manifestation of Egypt's power, belief, and vision of the afterlife. Through these monumental structures, the Egyptians were able to project their civilization's greatness into the future, ensuring that their divine order would persist long after the pharaohs were gone. Today, the pyramids stand as silent witnesses to the civilization that created them, enduring testaments to a time when religion, politics, and architecture were intimately intertwined. They continue to inspire awe, curiosity, and respect, reminding us of the incredible achievements of ancient Egypt and the profound spiritual vision that shaped their construction. The pyramids are more than just ancient tombs. They are enduring symbols of the quest for immortality, the desire to understand the cosmos, and the will to create something that would outlast the fleeting nature of human life. The enigma surrounding the pyramids of Egypt has led to centuries of exploration, debate, and fascination. While much has been uncovered about their construction and purpose, there remain elements of their history that continue to elude scholars. One of the most perplexing aspects of pyramid construction, particularly the Great Pyramid of Giza, is the sheer scale and precision involved in its design and construction. The level of craftsmanship displayed in the construction of the pyramids is unlike anything seen in ancient architecture. These structures were not just massive undertakings in terms of physical labor, but they were built with an extraordinary level of mathematical, astronomical, and engineering knowledge that would seem out of place for the time period in which they were constructed. This level of sophistication challenges our traditional understanding of ancient Egyptian technology and leads to the question: how could such an advanced society have possessed such knowledge? Was it simply a product of the unique and unparalleled genius of the ancient Egyptians, or was there something more to the story? Could they have had access to knowledge that has since been lost to time? One of the most striking aspects of the Great Pyramid of Giza is its alignment with the stars, particularly the 3 stars that make up the belt of the constellation Orion. This alignment is so precise that it is almost as though the ancient Egyptians were not merely building a tomb, but creating a cosmic link between the pharaoh and the divine. The stars of Orion, in ancient Egyptian mythology, were associated with Osiris, the god of the afterlife, and the idea that the pharaoh's soul would ascend to the stars to join Osiris was central to Egyptian beliefs about the afterlife. The precise alignment of the Great Pyramid with Orion's belt is so exact that it has led many researchers to conclude that the Egyptians were using the stars not just for religious or spiritual reasons, but also for practical ones, such as determining the correct geographical alignment of the pyramid and ensuring that the pharaoh's soul would have a direct path to the heavens. This connection between the pyramid and the stars is further emphasized by the pyramid's relationship with the heliacal rising of Sirius, the brightest star in the night sky, which was closely associated with the goddess Isis and was thought to be the harbinger of the annual flooding of the Nile River. The flooding of the Nile was of central importance to the ancient Egyptians, as it replenished the soil and ensured a bountiful harvest. The rising of Sirius marked the start of this important agricultural event, and the Egyptians believed that the alignment of their pyramids with this star was a reflection of the cosmic order that governed both the heavens and the earth. This cosmic alignment suggests that the Egyptians may have seen their pyramids as more than just royal tombs. They were sacred structures designed to bridge the gap between the earthly realm and the divine, creating a pathway for the pharaoh's soul to journey to the afterlife, and also ensuring the continued prosperity of the kingdom. The idea that the Egyptians could have possessed such profound astronomical and mathematical knowledge has led many to ask, how did they acquire such advanced understanding? Some have suggested that this knowledge could have been passed down from an even earlier, forgotten civilization, one that existed long before the rise of the ancient Egyptians. This theory is popular among alternative historians and those who study the mysteries of the pyramids, as it provides a possible explanation for the apparent advanced knowledge possessed by the Egyptians. Some proponents of this theory argue that the Egyptians could not have developed such complex astronomical and mathematical techniques on their own, and that they must have learned these skills from a lost civilization that existed thousands of years before them. While there is no direct evidence to support the existence of such a civilization, the idea that ancient knowledge was passed down through generations, often hidden or forgotten, is a compelling one. One of the most famous proponents of the lost civilization theory is the British writer and researcher Graham Hancock, whose work on ancient civilizations, particularly in his book Fingerprints of the Gods, suggests that there was a highly advanced civilization that existed long before the rise of the ancient Egyptians. According to Hancock, this lost civilization, which he refers to as a civilization of the gods, was responsible for the construction of the pyramids, as well as many other ancient monuments around the world. He proposes that this civilization was destroyed in a cataclysmic event, such as a comet strike or global flood, leaving behind only the remnants of its knowledge, which was then passed down to later civilizations such as the Egyptians. While mainstream scholars remain skeptical of this theory, the idea that the Egyptians had access to lost knowledge or ancient teachings continues to intrigue researchers and lay people alike. Adding to the mystery is the debate surrounding the construction methods used to build the pyramids. Traditional archaeological theories suggest that the pyramids were built using simple tools such as copper chisels, wooden sleds, and ramps. Workers would have quarried the stones from nearby quarries, transported them to the construction site, and then carefully cut and placed them into position. While this explanation seems plausible, it does not fully account for the precision and scale of the pyramid's construction. Some researchers have suggested that the Egyptians could have used advanced engineering techniques, such as cranes, pulleys, or even techniques lost to time, to lift and position the massive stones. However, there is no direct evidence to support these theories, and the question of how the ancient Egyptians were able to achieve such remarkable precision remains unanswered. Some alternative theories go even further, suggesting that the pyramids may have been built using a form of lost technology that is far beyond our current understanding. These theories often propose that the ancient Egyptians were in possession of advanced machinery or methods for cutting, shaping, and transporting the stones that have since been lost to time. These theories are not widely accepted by mainstream archaeologists, but they continue to fuel speculation about the true nature of pyramid construction. One such theory suggests that the Egyptians could have used sonic technology to levitate the massive stones, while others propose that the stones were somehow softened or melted to make them easier to shape. While these ideas may seem outlandish, they highlight the level of fascination and intrigue that the pyramids continue to generate. In addition to the mysteries surrounding the construction of the pyramids, there is also the question of the materials used to build them. The core stones of the Great Pyramid are made from massive limestone blocks, while the outer casing stones, which have long since been removed, were made from fine white Tura limestone. The fact that the outer casing stones were made of a material so much finer than the core suggests that the Egyptians placed a great deal of emphasis on the appearance and aesthetic of the pyramid. These casing stones were polished to such a degree that they reflected the sun's rays, making the pyramid shine brightly in the daylight. The choice of these materials was likely symbolic, reflecting the divine and eternal nature of the pharaoh's reign, and further linking the pyramid to the heavens. Another fascinating aspect of the pyramids is their connection to the Egyptian religious and spiritual worldview. The Egyptians believed in a complex and multi-layered afterlife, in which the pharaoh's soul would journey through the underworld, overcome obstacles, and eventually be reborn in the afterlife. The pyramid itself was seen as both a tomb and a spiritual tool, designed to guide the pharaoh's soul on its journey. The internal chambers and passageways of the pyramid were carefully designed to reflect the various stages of this journey, with the ultimate goal being the pharaoh's rebirth and transformation into a divine being. The layout of the pyramid, with its hidden chambers and intricate passageways, can be seen as a reflection of the pharaoh's journey through the afterlife, a journey that was fraught with danger, but ultimately led to immortality. The pyramids were also closely linked to the Egyptian concept of the soul, which was believed to be composed of several parts. One of the most important components of the soul was the Ka, the life force or spiritual essence that survived after death. The Ka was believed to remain in the tomb, where it would be nourished by offerings and prayers from the living. The pyramid served as a vessel for the Ka, a place where it could continue to exist and receive sustenance in the afterlife. This belief in the eternal nature of the soul was a central aspect of ancient Egyptian religion, and it played a crucial role in the construction of the pyramids. The mystery of the pyramids is not simply about their construction or their purpose. It is about what they represent, the aspirations, beliefs, and values of an ancient civilization that saw the cosmos as a vast, interconnected whole, where the afterlife was just another chapter in the ongoing journey of the soul. Whether the ancient Egyptians were using advanced knowledge passed down from a lost civilization, or whether they were simply operating with a profound understanding of the natural world, the pyramids continue to stand as symbols of human ambition and spiritual yearning. In the end, it is the mystery of the pyramids themselves, their construction, their purpose, and their connection to the divine, that continues to fascinate and inspire people from all walks of life as they seek to uncover the secrets of these ancient wonders. The allure of the pyramids extends far beyond their physical presence as monuments of stone. They represent the zenith of ancient Egyptian civilization, embodying both a spiritual journey and an engineering marvel that continue to defy full explanation. As much as the construction of these grand tombs symbolized the pharaoh's divine status, it also pointed to the societal, religious, and cosmic beliefs that permeated every layer of Egyptian life. The pharaoh's tomb was not merely a burial place but a metaphysical space where the ruler's soul could pass through the trials of the afterlife, ensuring not just their own immortality, but the prosperity and stability of Egypt itself. Yet, as we seek to unravel the mysteries of these ancient structures, one question stands at the forefront. What role did power and ambition play in the construction of the pyramids? And how did these massive monuments reflect the ambitions of a society that saw itself as a divine intermediary between the gods and the earth? At the heart of the pyramid's construction was the pharaoh, the living god who was thought to be the earthly embodiment of Ma'at, the divine principle of truth, order, and justice. As such, the pharaoh's death and subsequent journey into the afterlife were not only personal matters, but cosmological events with profound implications for the entire kingdom. The pharaoh was seen as the key figure who maintained the balance of the universe. Without the pharaoh, the land would fall into chaos. This belief, rooted deeply in Egyptian spirituality, made the construction of monumental tombs, such as the pyramids, an act of divine necessity. A tomb fit for a god was required, one that could preserve the ruler's soul and ensure his transformation into an immortal being. But there was more to it than this. The pyramids were also political symbols, designed to perpetuate the power and authority of the pharaoh for eternity. The monumental scale of the pyramids served as a visual testament to the grandeur of the pharaohs and the divine right to rule. The very act of commissioning such a massive and expensive construction project was a statement of power, a declaration to both the people of Egypt and to the gods that the pharaoh's reign would endure beyond death. It was not enough for the ruler to simply be remembered. he must continue to exert influence, even in the afterlife, to maintain the stability and prosperity of Egypt. The size and complexity of the pyramids served as a reflection of the ruler's power, emphasizing the idea that the pharaoh's divine rule would never fade, not even in death. The larger the pyramid, the more powerful the king was perceived to be, and in this way the pyramids themselves became instruments of political propaganda. The Egyptians, keenly aware of the power of symbols, used these monumental structures to communicate to both the living and the divine that their rulers were godlike figures, deserving of reverence and awe. But it was not only the size of the pyramid that conveyed this power. The entire process of construction, the logistics, the resources, and the workforce involved, was designed to reinforce the pharaoh's authority. The pyramid's construction required the mobilization of vast numbers of workers, artisans, and priests, all of whom were involved in the intricate task of building the structure and ensuring its sacred purpose. These workers were not slaves, as often depicted in popular media, but skilled laborers who were carefully selected and employed for their expertise. Many of them likely viewed their work as an act of devotion, believing that by contributing to the construction of the pyramid, they were participating in the divine act of ensuring the pharaoh's continued power in the afterlife. The fact that these monumental projects could be completed only through the collective effort of thousands of individuals, each one dedicated to a higher purpose, illustrates the extent to which the construction of the pyramids was a communal endeavor, deeply interwoven with the religious and political fabric of Egyptian society. As we dig deeper into the motivations behind the construction of the pyramids, we begin to see that they were not just expressions of individual ambition but also representations of a larger, collective aspiration. The pyramids served as a symbol of the eternal connection between the living and the divine, with the pharaoh as the central figure in this cosmic narrative. But there was also a more profound, subtle ambition at play: the desire for immortality, not just for the pharaoh, but for the entire nation. The pyramid was a structure that transcended the individual, becoming a collective representation of Egypt's place in the cosmos and its connection to the gods. The pharaoh's soul was meant to ascend to the heavens, but it was also believed that the entire kingdom would benefit from the ruler's ascension. The prosperity of Egypt, its harvests, its military conquests, and its stability were all thought to be directly tied to the strength and vitality of the pharaoh's soul. In this way, the pyramid was not just a tomb, it was a vessel for Egypt's continued greatness. This idea of collective immortality is also reflected in the grand funerary practices surrounding the pyramids. The burial of the pharaoh was not a solitary event. It was part of a larger ritual that involved the participation of the entire royal court and, in many cases, the broader populace. The pharaoh's journey into the afterlife was not a personal matter, but a national one, and it was believed that the well-being of the entire society was at stake. The funerary texts that accompanied the pyramid, such as the pyramid texts, were not only written to guide the pharaoh's soul through the underworld, but to ensure that Egypt itself would remain protected from chaos. The texts were filled with spells, incantations, and prayers that were meant to aid the pharaoh in overcoming the trials of the afterlife. But they also served as a blueprint for the continued prosperity of Egypt, a cosmic insurance policy that guaranteed the stability of the kingdom as long as the pharaoh's soul ascended to the heavens and joined the gods. As we look at the larger political implications of pyramid construction, we also need to consider the role that ambition played in the creation of Egypt's monumental architecture. The pharaohs were not the only ones with vested interests in the pyramid's construction. The priesthood, too, had much to gain from the pharaoh's ascension to the afterlife. The priests were not only responsible for overseeing the religious rituals and ceremonies associated with the pyramid, but they also controlled the temples and the wealth associated with them. The construction of the pyramid, as much as it was an act of devotion, was also an act of political maneuvering. By aligning themselves with the divine pharaoh and ensuring his soul's successful journey, the priests were also securing their own power and influence in the afterlife. The wealth generated by the temples and the elaborate funeral practices surrounding the pyramid made the priesthood an integral part of the pyramid-building process. The pyramid, then, served as a microcosm of Egyptian society. Each part of the construction process, from the king to the priests to the workers, represented a distinct layer of society working toward a common goal. Yet, despite this collective effort, the construction of the pyramids was also a symbol of the pharaoh's dominance. It was his will, his divine right, that ultimately determined the direction of Egypt, and the pyramid was the physical manifestation of this divine authority. In this sense, the pyramid functioned as both a political tool and a spiritual vehicle. It reinforced the idea that the pharaoh, as a god on earth, was the only one capable of ensuring the continued prosperity of Egypt, both in this life and in the afterlife. Moreover, the construction of the pyramids reflected the power of the pharaoh to command not only labor and resources but also the very forces of nature. The alignment of the pyramids with the stars and the sun, the careful placement of stones, and the precision with which they were built all reflected the pharaoh's ability to manipulate the cosmic order. In a sense, the pyramid was a tool for the pharaoh to assert his divine dominance, not just over his people but over the forces of the universe itself. The building of the pyramid was a reflection of the pharaoh's will to transcend the limitations of the earthly realm and to claim his place among the gods. This ambition for divine immortality, both for the ruler and for Egypt as a whole, reached its zenith during the Fourth Dynasty, when the Great Pyramid of Giza was built. The grandeur of the Great Pyramid, standing at over 480 feet tall, was a reflection of the power of the pharaohs during this period. It was an expression of not just the ambition of one ruler but of an entire dynasty that sought to cement its place in history. The pyramid, with its staggering size and flawless alignment, became the ultimate symbol of Egypt's strength, a symbol that would endure for millennia. As we consider the nature of ambition behind the pyramids, it's clear that the construction of these massive structures was not solely about personal glory or divine immortality. It was a monumental expression of the Egyptian worldview, a worldview that saw the ruler not as a mere mortal, but as the embodiment of cosmic order, a figure whose death would resonate throughout the heavens and the earth. In this light, the pyramids were not just tombs. They were divine instruments, meant to sustain the balance of the universe, reflect the greatness of Egypt, and immortalize the pharaoh's divine rule. In essence, the pyramids were both a spiritual and a political project, designed to uphold Egypt's power for eternity. The construction of the pyramids represents one of the greatest achievements in human history, not only in terms of engineering and architecture but also in the complex interplay of religious, political, and cultural forces that were necessary to complete such monumental projects. As much as the pyramids were symbols of the divine power and eternal rule of the pharaohs, they were also deeply embedded within the societal structures of ancient Egypt, influencing everything from labor relations to the role of the priesthood, and even the relationship between the living and the dead. While much has been written about the technical aspects of pyramid construction, such as the advanced geometry, the precision of the measurements, and the massive workforce required to bring them to life, there are deeper questions that continue to intrigue historians, archaeologists, and philosophers alike. What did the pyramids represent not only to the people who built them but to the broader Egyptian worldview? How did these monumental structures reflect the civilization's relationship with the gods, with time, and with the universe itself? At the heart of the pyramids' construction was the belief that these massive structures were not merely tombs for the pharaohs but sacred, cosmic machines designed to ensure the ruler's successful transition to the afterlife. To the ancient Egyptians, the pharaoh was seen as the divine intermediary between the gods and humanity. The pharaoh was not just a ruler but a living god, charged with maintaining the balance of Ma'at, the cosmic order that governed both the heavens and the earth. When the pharaoh died, it was not an end but a transition, one that required the intervention of the divine to ensure that the balance of the universe was not disrupted. The pyramid, with its precise alignments, internal chambers, and symbolic carvings, was designed to facilitate the pharaoh's journey to the afterlife, to ensure that his soul would ascend to the heavens and join the gods in eternity. The process of building the pyramids was a reflection of this deeply ingrained belief in the afterlife and the cosmic order. Every aspect of the construction, from the selection of materials to the orientation of the structure, was imbued with spiritual significance. The blocks used to construct the pyramids were carefully chosen and shaped to reflect both the physical and spiritual strength of the pharaoh. The pyramid itself was designed to represent the sun's rays, symbolizing the pharaoh's ascent to the heavens. The interior chambers were meticulously planned to serve as the pharaoh's eternal dwelling, equipped with everything necessary for his spiritual journey. Hieroglyphs and religious texts, such as the pyramid texts, were inscribed within the pyramid to guide the soul through the afterlife and ensure its safe passage. These texts were a map of sorts, filled with spells, prayers, and incantations designed to protect the pharaoh from the dangers of the underworld and to secure his place in the afterlife, where he would continue his divine rule. The workers who built the pyramids, far from being the faceless slaves often depicted in popular culture, were likely highly skilled laborers who worked on the pyramid as part of a larger religious and societal obligation. Many of the laborers were seasonal workers, recruited from all over Egypt during the inundation of the Nile, when agricultural work was not possible. This seasonal labor force was often made up of skilled masons, carpenters, and engineers, as well as laborers who performed the more physically demanding tasks of transporting and lifting the massive stones that formed the pyramid. These workers were organized into teams and worked under the supervision of foremen and priests, who ensured that the construction process adhered to both the divine and engineering specifications. While the pyramids were undoubtedly the result of great engineering ingenuity, their construction was also a manifestation of Egypt's deeply held spiritual beliefs. The workers who built the pyramids were not merely doing physical labor. They were participating in a sacred act, one that aligned them with the gods and ensured the continuation of the pharaoh's reign in the afterlife. The religious and spiritual nature of this task was reinforced by the fact that the pyramids were built near sacred sites, such as the necropolis of Giza, and were often associated with temples and other religious structures. The construction of the pyramid was a ritualistic act, with each stone carefully placed to reflect the cosmic order and the pharaoh's role in maintaining it. The religious significance of the pyramids was not limited to their function as tombs. They were also seen as representations of the divine power of the pharaoh. The size, scale, and precision of the pyramids were designed to communicate the power and authority of the ruler, not just to the people of Egypt, but to the gods themselves. The construction of such a massive structure required the mobilization of a vast workforce, the use of sophisticated engineering techniques, and the allocation of enormous resources. The sheer scale of the project was a demonstration of the pharaoh's divine power, his ability to command the resources of the kingdom and to exert his will on the very landscape itself. The pyramid was a symbol of the eternal power of the pharaoh, a power that transcended death itself. The pharaoh's soul was believed to ascend to the heavens, where it would join the gods and continue to rule Egypt for eternity. The idea that the pyramid was not just a tomb, but a divine instrument for the maintenance of cosmic order, is further reinforced by the way in which the pyramids were aligned with celestial bodies. The Great Pyramid of Giza, for example, is aligned with remarkable precision to the cardinal points of the compass. Its sides are nearly perfectly aligned with true north, south, east, and west, and it is also aligned with the stars of Orion's belt, which were associated with Osiris, the god of the afterlife. The alignment of the pyramid with the stars and the sun was not merely for aesthetic purposes. It was a deliberate act, designed to ensure that the pharaoh's soul would have a direct path to the heavens, where it would be reborn and continue to govern the land. The pyramids were also closely tied to the solar religion that was central to Egyptian belief. The sun god Ra was believed to sail through the underworld each night, only to be reborn at dawn. This daily cycle of death and rebirth was seen as a reflection of the pharaoh's own journey into the afterlife. The pyramid, with its angular shape and upward-sloping sides, symbolized the rays of the sun, creating a direct connection between the pharaoh and the divine light of Ra. The pyramid was not just a tomb. It was a cosmic gateway, a bridge between the earth and the heavens, through which the pharaoh's soul could ascend to join the gods. This connection between the pyramid and the sun was also reinforced by the fact that the pyramids were often built on the western bank of the Nile, the side associated with death and the afterlife. The rising sun in the east was symbolic of life and rebirth, while the setting sun in the west symbolized the journey into death and the afterlife. While the religious and spiritual motivations behind pyramid construction are clear, there were also practical reasons for building such monumental structures. The pharaoh's tomb needed to be not only a grand symbol of his divine rule, but also a secure and permanent resting place. The pyramid's massive stone structure, its hidden chambers and passages, were designed to protect the pharaoh's body and possessions from tomb robbers and to ensure that his soul would be preserved for eternity. The construction of the pyramid was a way of safeguarding the pharaoh's legacy, protecting his wealth and treasures, and ensuring that he would continue to be honored and revered long after his death. In many ways, the pyramid was the culmination of a pharaoh's reign, a physical manifestation of his power, his connection to the gods, and his place in the cosmic order. The construction of these monumental structures was not just a matter of securing the pharaoh's afterlife. It was also about projecting the power and grandeur of the Egyptian state to future generations. The pyramids were designed to last for eternity, to endure the ravages of time, and to stand as lasting symbols of the divine authority of Egypt's rulers. The ancient Egyptians saw themselves as guardians of Ma'at, the cosmic balance, and the pyramid was the ultimate expression of this role, a permanent reminder of the pharaoh's divine rule and the harmony between the earthly and the divine. The pyramids thus became both sacred spaces and symbols of Egypt's imperial grandeur, bound together by the overarching belief in the eternal rule of the pharaoh and the perpetual order of the cosmos. Through these monumental structures, the ancient Egyptians sought to ensure the eternal dominance of their civilization, not just in the mortal world, but in the spiritual and cosmic realms as well. The pyramids, as tombs, as spiritual tools, and as symbols of power, reflect the sophisticated and multifaceted worldview of ancient Egypt, one in which the boundaries between life and death, the human and the divine, were seen as interconnected and fluid. The continued fascination with the pyramids extends far beyond their size and construction. The Great Pyramid of Giza, in particular, has been the subject of innumerable studies, debates, and theories for centuries. While many of these theories focus on the more tangible aspects of the pyramids, their construction techniques, their alignment with the stars, their purpose as royal tombs, there is also an enduring mystery about the broader cosmic significance of these monumental structures. What if the pyramids were not just tombs for the pharaohs, but keys to unlocking deeper, hidden truths about the nature of the universe itself? What if these ancient structures were part of a grander, more intricate design, one that reflected not just the pharaoh's journey into the afterlife, but a universal, cosmic order that transcended time and space? One of the most intriguing aspects of the pyramids is their relationship with the stars. As we know, the ancient Egyptians had a profound connection to the cosmos, and their understanding of the heavens was far more advanced than we often give them credit for. The alignment of the Great Pyramid of Giza with the stars of Orion's belt is one of the most widely discussed aspects of the pyramid's design. Orion, known as the celestial hunter in Greek mythology, was associated with Osiris, the god of the afterlife. Osiris was central to the Egyptian belief in life after death, and the idea that the pharaoh's soul would join him in the stars was an essential aspect of the Egyptian concept of immortality. This alignment is not a coincidence. It is a deliberate reflection of the Egyptian belief that the soul of the pharaoh would ascend to the heavens and become one with Osiris. But the relationship between the pyramids and the stars goes deeper than mere symbolism. The precise alignment of the Great Pyramid with Orion's belt has led some scholars to suggest that the pyramid was not just a burial place, but a kind of cosmic gateway. If the pharaoh's soul was meant to journey to the afterlife, then the pyramid was not only a tomb, but a vehicle for that journey, designed to guide the soul through the heavens. The positioning of the pyramid, its internal chambers, and its alignment with celestial bodies could have served as a physical and spiritual map, a blueprint for the pharaoh's journey through the stars. In this sense, the pyramid becomes a bridge between the earth and the divine, a passageway through which the pharaoh's soul could ascend to the gods. The precise mathematical and astronomical knowledge required to achieve such a feat is mind-boggling, considering the limited technology of the time. The fact that the ancient Egyptians could construct such a perfect alignment, despite the absence of modern tools or instruments, points to a deep and sophisticated understanding of the stars and their movements. This knowledge, some suggest, may have been inherited from an earlier civilization, a lost civilization whose secrets were passed down to the Egyptians. This theory, popularized by alternative historians such as Graham Hancock, posits that there was once a highly advanced civilization that existed long before the rise of the ancient Egyptians. According to this theory, the Egyptians inherited their astronomical knowledge, along with their advanced engineering techniques, from this earlier civilization. While mainstream scholars continue to reject this idea, the notion that ancient Egyptians were recipients of lost knowledge is a tantalizing one that adds another layer of mystery to the story of the pyramids. Yet the mysteries of the pyramids extend beyond their celestial alignments and astronomical significance. One of the most enigmatic aspects of the Great Pyramid is its construction. The sheer scale of the pyramid is astounding. Originally standing at over 480 feet tall, it remained the tallest man-made structure in the world for over 3,800 years. The precision with which the pyramid was built, with its perfectly straight edges and nearly flawless geometry, has baffled scholars and engineers for centuries. The methods by which the Egyptians could have constructed such a massive and precise structure with the tools available to them remain a subject of intense debate. Most mainstream historians and archaeologists argue that the pyramids were built using simple tools, such as copper chisels, wooden sledges, and ramps, with the workforce consisting of thousands of skilled laborers who were likely employed in rotating shifts. This explanation, while plausible, still leaves many unanswered questions. How did the ancient Egyptians move and lift the massive stones that make up the pyramid, some of which weigh as much as 80 tons? How were these stones cut with such precision? How were they transported over long distances and then placed with such accuracy? These questions continue to puzzle experts, and while there are many theories about the methods used to build the pyramids, no single explanation has been universally accepted. One of the more speculative theories involves the use of lost technologies, such as advanced cranes, pulleys, or even unknown machines, to aid in the construction of the pyramids. Some have even suggested that the Egyptians may have used sound waves or other forms of energy to levitate the massive stones. While these ideas are largely dismissed by mainstream archaeologists, they continue to captivate the imagination of those who seek to explain the mysteries of the pyramids. Another theory suggests that the stones may have been softened or even liquefied, making them easier to shape and transport. This theory, though not widely accepted, adds another layer of intrigue to the already mysterious process of pyramid construction. Regardless of how the pyramids were built, one thing is clear. They were not just architectural marvels. They were a reflection of the Egyptians' spiritual and philosophical worldview. The Egyptians saw the pyramid as a symbol of the sun's rays, which connected the pharaoh to the divine. The pyramid's shape, with its angular sides and rising apex, symbolized the ascent of the pharaoh's soul to the heavens. The internal chambers, which were filled with religious texts, spells, and offerings, were designed to guide the pharaoh's soul through the afterlife, ensuring his rebirth and eternal life among the gods. In this way, the pyramid was not just a tomb, but a cosmic vessel, carrying the pharaoh's soul on its journey through the stars and into the realm of the divine. The spiritual and religious significance of the pyramid is further underscored by the funerary texts that accompanied the pharaoh's burial. The pyramid texts, one of the oldest religious texts in history, were inscribed within the walls of the pyramid to guide the pharaoh through the afterlife. These texts were filled with spells and incantations designed to protect the pharaoh from the dangers of the underworld and ensure that he would be reborn in the afterlife. The pyramid texts also emphasized the pharaoh's connection to the gods, particularly Osiris, who was believed to be the god of the afterlife and the ruler of the underworld. The texts described the pharaoh's journey through the various trials of the afterlife, with the ultimate goal of achieving immortality and joining the gods in the heavens. The texts were a roadmap for the pharaoh's soul, providing the necessary spiritual tools to ensure a successful transition from the earthly realm to the divine. The notion that the pyramid was not just a tomb but a spiritual vehicle for the pharaoh's soul has been explored by many scholars and researchers. Some suggest that the pyramid was built as a kind of machine designed to amplify the pharaoh's spiritual power, channeling cosmic energies that would guide the ruler's soul through the afterlife. Others believe that the pyramid was a focal point for the energies of the earth, a sacred site where the physical and spiritual realms intersected. In this way, the pyramid was not just a physical structure, but a metaphysical one, an instrument that connected the earthly realm with the divine, a bridge between the world of the living and the realm of the gods. The idea of the pyramids as spiritual tools is further supported by the discovery of the so-called air shafts within the Great Pyramid of Giza. These narrow passages, which extend from the king's chamber to the exterior of the pyramid, have long puzzled researchers. Some have speculated that these shafts were designed to align with specific stars or constellations, serving as a conduit for the pharaoh's soul to ascend to the heavens. The fact that these shafts are so precisely aligned with certain celestial bodies, such as the stars of Orion's belt and Sirius, adds another layer of mystery to the pyramid's spiritual purpose. Some researchers believe that the shafts were part of a larger system of celestial alignments that were designed to guide the pharaoh's soul on its journey to the afterlife. The spiritual and cosmic significance of the pyramids is not limited to their construction and design. The very location of the pyramids on the western bank of the Nile River was symbolic. In ancient Egyptian belief, the west was associated with death and the afterlife, while the east represented life and rebirth. The pyramids were built on the western side of the river to reflect this duality, reinforcing the idea that the pharaoh's death was not an end, but a continuation of the eternal cycle of life, death, and rebirth. The alignment of the pyramids with the setting sun, and the symbolic connection to the west, further emphasized this concept of the afterlife as a journey toward the unknown, one that required guidance from the gods. In considering the spiritual and cosmic significance of the pyramids, it becomes clear that these monumental structures were far more than just tombs. They were symbolic representations of the pharaoh's divine connection to the gods and the universe, physical manifestations of the belief that the pharaoh's soul would continue to live on in eternity. The mysteries surrounding the construction of the pyramids, their astronomical alignments, their mathematical precision, and their spiritual purpose, continue to captivate researchers, historians, and explorers, offering a glimpse into the profound spiritual and cultural worldview of ancient Egypt. The Great Pyramid of Giza, often regarded as the pinnacle of ancient Egyptian achievement, continues to stir intrigue for more than just its monumental scale or mysterious construction methods. It serves as a powerful symbol of the Egyptians' sophisticated worldview, one that saw death not as an end, but as a transformation. This shift in perspective reflects a deeper philosophical concept, that of cosmic balance and immortality. The pyramid, with its meticulous alignment to celestial bodies, was more than a royal tomb. It was a divine tool, constructed to guide the soul of the pharaoh through the afterlife and ensure the kingdom's eternal prosperity. Yet, as we stand before this awe-inspiring structure, we are confronted with a thought that transcends time. How much of the knowledge that made the pyramids possible was truly understood by the Egyptians, and how much was passed down from a forgotten civilization? Was the ability to construct such a monumental and spiritually significant structure a product of an advanced, ancient knowledge that we've yet to fully understand? The more we uncover, the more it becomes clear that the secrets of the pyramids may hold keys to understanding not only the ancient world, but the very fabric of our shared human history. The mystery of the pyramids reaches beyond their construction and symbolism, touching upon questions of knowledge, purpose, and legacy. While we have made great strides in understanding the technical feats behind the Great Pyramid of Giza, one of the most compelling aspects remains the extent to which these monuments were, in their own right, repositories of ancient wisdom. Ancient Egypt's profound connection to the cosmos, its belief in the afterlife, and its ability to harness architectural precision suggest an understanding of the universe that we are only beginning to comprehend. The very structure of the pyramids, from their alignment with celestial bodies to the use of sacred geometry, implies a knowledge that transcends mere craftsmanship. Was the construction of the pyramids a reflection of ancient Egypt's deep philosophical and spiritual beliefs, or was it the product of knowledge lost over time, perhaps handed down from an earlier, unknown civilization? The questions continue to inspire exploration, speculation, and theory. Ultimately, the pyramids are not just markers of Egypt's past, but a living testament to the enduring power of curiosity and the human drive to reach for something greater than ourselves. Their secrets may not be fully understood, but they continue to invite us to look deeper into the mysteries of our own existence. As we continue to explore the mysteries of the pyramids, one must consider the impact they have had on both ancient and modern civilizations. The pyramids were not just monumental structures. They were sources of immense cultural pride and spiritual significance. To the ancient Egyptians, the pyramids were symbols of divine authority, imbuing the pharaoh with a connection to the gods. But their influence extends beyond Egypt. Throughout history, the pyramids have captivated travelers, explorers, and even rulers from different cultures, each interpreting them through their own lenses of mythology, architecture, and power. In more recent times, the pyramids have become an enduring symbol of the human drive to achieve greatness. The construction of these towering structures serves as a testament to the ancient Egyptians' engineering prowess and their profound understanding of the cosmos. They represent the lengths to which civilizations have gone to immortalize their rulers, their beliefs, and their understanding of life and death. Today, the pyramids stand as a beacon of human potential, an awe-inspiring reminder of what can be accomplished when ambition, faith, and knowledge are intertwined. Their mystery continues to fuel the imagination, urging us to look beyond the surface and search for deeper truths about humanity's past, its future, and the forces that shape our existence. The mysteries of the pyramids are as much about what we don't know as what we do. As we stand before these ancient structures, we are confronted not just with architectural wonders but with the deep questions they continue to pose. How were these immense structures built with such precision? And why were they designed with such profound cosmic significance? Despite years of research and exploration, many aspects of pyramid construction and purpose remain elusive. The question of whether the Egyptians were simply brilliant architects or had access to lost, advanced knowledge persists. What is clear is that the pyramids were more than just monumental tombs. They were powerful symbols of a civilization that saw itself as deeply connected to the cosmos. The alignment with stars, the precise geometry, and the religious and spiritual significance all point to a deeper understanding of the universe, one that we are still only beginning to appreciate. The pyramids invite us not just to look back at a long-lost civilization but to reflect on our own search for meaning in the mysteries of the universe. Even after millennia, these ancient wonders still challenge us, urging us to ask deeper questions about our place in the grand scheme of things. As the sun sets over the Giza Plateau, the pyramids stand as symbols of humanity's enduring quest for knowledge, power, and immortality. Their precision and celestial alignment hint at a lost wisdom that continues to defy explanation. These monumental structures are more than just tombs. They are vessels of spiritual transformation, guiding the pharaoh's soul toward eternity. Yet, despite centuries of research, the true depth of their purpose remains elusive. The pyramids are a testament to the ancient Egyptians' remarkable vision, blending the earthly with the divine, leaving us with a timeless mystery that continues to intrigue and inspire. As the pyramids stand timeless against the horizon, their purpose continues to elude us. Beyond the physical realm, the true significance of these monumental structures lies in their ability to transcend time and culture, representing humanity's enduring desire for connection with the divine. In seeking to uncover their mysteries, we also uncover our own questions about life, death, and what lies beyond. The pyramids challenge us to look deeper, not just into history, but into ourselves, prompting reflection on the eternal search for meaning, immortality, and the profound mysteries that bind all of humanity to the cosmos.